your eyes so you see my vision. Unite the souls so there's no division. Look into the future, we see all seasons. Aiming for the top, but what's the reason? Hands to the sky and realize we're free. We become the legends we were meant to be. Now open your eyes and you will see. I can lead you home, just follow me. Close your eyes till you see my vision. Unite the souls so there's no division. Look into the future, we see all seasons. Aiming for the top, but what's the reason? Hands to the sky and realize we're free. We become the legends we were meant to be. Now open your eyes and you will see. I can lead you home, just follow me.
Hello and welcome to round one of season 3 of the SRL-100 Division 1. It's what's being broadcasted on the channel, of course. Division 2 going on simultaneously at the same time. We are back after 4 weeks of being away from broadcast, 2 weeks of racing. Of course, we had the award ceremony last weekend. I'm your host, Gareth Allen, previously known as Crab in the Discord, and I'm very excited to bring you the Jeddah race today. 50 laps of the Jeddah Circuit. And of course, we'll have full qualifying to start us up. Thank you very much to follows Evox earlier on. And yes, welcome to the chat if it is your first time. We hasn't actually quite posted to the socials chat yet, but hopefully the stream will post pretty soon. But yeah, welcome aboard if it is the first time viewing the F1 races, the league races. Actually, there must be another lobby being formed because they've backed out of this one for whatever reason. Let's see. Anyway, we will go over the. We will go over the. Is it? Who's invited me to play here? Is this an up-to-date invite? Yeah, looks like it. Right, okay, hit spectate. Hopefully, we'll get going soon. But thank you very much for the good luck, and don't forget to follow us. That's Swinny. Thank you very much. I believe, who's said good luck, and I'm sure the racer will be listening along. So we'll have post-race interviews afterwards, and let's have a quick rundown of the teams, because of course it's all changed since last year. Even our championship drivers have changed teams. So it's Chonk in a Mercedes, currently doesn't have a teammate, so there is places open in the SRL-100. His Tango and Keji are all North American outlook for the Red Bull powertrain team. They're going to look to be very, very strong this season. Ferrari have maintained the services of OS Degrees, but AJS Inden has joined them from Red Bull, so AJS Inden finally tired of the Red Bull curse of that second seat and deciding to team up with one of the veterans of the service. So those two will be certainly a pairing for Ferrari, replacing Captain Mayray Fox, who's dropped down to Division 2. Matusas has moved to McLaren quite recently, actually, with Patrick MG making his league debut alongside. Simpendal also making his SRL-100 debut, of course won the Abu Dhabi SRL-50 at the end of last season. He is in the Alpine, also looking for a teammate, so please get involved with the server and get involved with casual lobbies, get a claim driver tag, and you'll be able to join the Division 1 if you are deemed to be of the Division 1 quality. AlphaTauri have let me just double check that I've actually put myself a spectator. I have. So AlphaTauri have Giri on tour, who did a number of reserve appearances last season and has fully deserved to have his own place. And Blubberbump, of course, the SRL-50 champion, is joining the Division 1 team. So very excited to see that. And of course, it's Struggs and Fade who have moved to Aston Martin to make Aston Martin great again. And let's see if they're able to do that, to be honest, because, it can't be much greater than when me and Lou drove for Aston Martin. But, yes, they aim to take Aston Martin to the summit of the championship. Both drivers moving away from Williams. Moving on to Williams, it's Tempe and Captain Coolwine who have teamed up to take Williams to back-to-back consecutive World Championship titles not done in the SR100 before, and let's see if they're able to do that. Rain and Fence are in the Alfa Romeo. Rain with some superb pace. Fence always good pace, but can he make it to the end? That will be the question. And finally, to round it out, Haas, dead in the pool, is the first driver for Haas, and Gaz MC keeping the Scottish flag flying in that Haas team. And we are very, very close to the start of the SRL-100 season, and if you're not following us, please drop us a follow. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I'm actually just going to see, it hasn't actually posted the stream to socials, so I may just do the old Twitch chat. It hasn't actually posted it, so I'll do that one just to remind people in general that we're live. And Sniper Boys, there he is. Fade, are you sure you're not King Sniper in disguise? No teammate for Matusas. That's disappointing. Yeah, of course. I don't think he'll be at the first 3 races. So Patrick is joining, but he won't actually have availability until after Christmas due to his working pattern. And thank you very much for the GL all, Chris. And please watch and stay along. OS Degrees knows who King Sniper is, and so does Captain Rainbow Foxes. If anyone wants to commentate, please get involved with the server, because we will be wanting to commentate that second division. It actually pains me to actually not be able to view what's going on with that session at the moment, and maybe later on in the season I'll hook up something so I can kind of have a sneak peek during safety car periods. Talking of safety car periods, we're going to have a hell of a lot of safety car periods in this race. You can already tell it's Jeddah, the Corniche Street Circuit in Jeddah. It's an absolute formidable track, and as we load into the lobby, let's have the start of qualifying 1. Oop, that didn't mean to happen. Testing things out all the time, and you saw some old standings, a screen you certainly weren't meant to see. And Faye says double screen setup, 1 on the football, 1 on this stream. Absolutely priorities right. I think most of the England fans are also watching this stream. Thank you very much. And will you pass by D2 for the stream as well? Unfortunately, I was hoping to get kind of a multi-stream kind of thing going on, of something hooked up with my Xbox, something not, but it's not going to be the case. Evox NLD, are you NL Chris? I believe Lou with us. Can you comment on the rumours you named your kid after Gotifi? I can neither confirm or deny that my firstborn, which is due at the end of March, is going to be called Gotifi Alan. I can neither confirm or deny that. We'll have to see what happens. But we have cars going out on the track. So, full track map. Let's enable that and see where everyone else is out on track. It's actually the Alfa Romeo of Fence who is the first car out on track, and he will be the first car to set a time. We have 16 races in the session, and we'll see. Chunk says, sorry if I delayed the loading times. No problem, Chunk. I'm sure everyone else will find it more annoying than you. Dutch saying, let's go, guys, send it. So we've got a long way to go. This is qualifying 1. We do a full qualifying session in the SRL-100. Syndicate Racing is all about clean, fun, fair racing in as realistic conditions as possible. You know, that's why our leagues, our casual lobbies keep ghosting off and those kind of things. Try to stop people from resetting the track and discourage that, of course. Resetting the track will result in an instant disqualification in the season this year, so no resetting the track is allowed in any session in the SRL-100. So that's a sharpening rule. But actually, Fence is just starting their lap and coming around turn 1. The driver with the fish helmet riding the curbs as much as he can. Let's get the telemetry on so we can make sure he is still pushing on his lap as he comes to turn 4. This fast and flowing, difficult street circuit. He just hits the inside wall just a little bit, but I don't think it affected him too much. Absolute commitment required for every part of this session. And of course, with these track conditions improving all the time, it will be quite difficult to set a decent lap time in these early conditions. And I think cut-off time is going to be around a 1:28.500. And Dutch, I know you're not too far away from being able to drive in Div 2. I think league application channels should be open for you now. And although, yeah, we did stop taking entries into the first race this season, I think you should be able to apply for a league seat if you're interested in racing, Dutch. So, yeah, have a look out for the league application channel if you have a clean driver tag. If you don't have the clean driver tag, of course, just keep coming to casual lobbies and we'll get you reviewed and see if you are a good fit for either the SRL-100 Div 1 or Div 2. And it's Fence coming to the final corner, turn 27. It was a 29.020 through the middle sector, and that was the fastest time. So it's just been beaten by over the line. It's a 1:29.974, so a decent time. And yeah, the cut-off time is about a 1:29.5, I reckon, for this session. But we only have one car who will be knocked out in this session. Captain Coolwine has gone over the line. We'll have a few other cars. It's actually the Ferrari of AGS Indon who's going to be next to go over the line, but I think he's starting a lap. OS Degrees is pushing through the final few corners, so we'll ride on board with him. Captain Coolwine has gone up and put a 1:29.690 on the board. Temp also 1:29.811. So actually the fastest final sector for Captain Coolwine on that lap. OS Degrees, where can he cross the timing beam? He's on an absolute fastest time, but 4th position, a 1:30.122 in this session, and we still have cars to come over the line. Gaz MC is going over. Then the pool goes into a 129.641, so he goes up the board, up further. I can't believe Gaz MC's put the fish helmet on. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. Fish helmet equals instant disqualification from my heart. Let's call it that. Higher money, so Geary on tour. Across the line, he's gone up into 7th. Blower bump only good enough for 8th position, so must have made mistakes on their laps. But, of course, we have a few more drivers to come out and set times. It's Simpendal. Oh, AJ Sinden's actually retired from the session. I don't know if he's had a crash somewhere because he hasn't set a time. So I wonder if he's just retiring and going to be setting. I know some people are certainly watching the England game on the side. So he's retired from the session, so he won't be going any further. So actually, everyone just needs to get a lap time out, and that lap time will get them through to the next part of qualifying. So I don't think anyone needs to be risking anything too much as Simpendal is pushing. Let's go on board with Simpendal, the Alpine driver, of course, won in the SRL-100 at the first time of asking in the final race of the SRL-100 last season, and he will be looking to improve himself and maybe prove himself in the Premier Division 1 of the SRL-100. There's a bit of wing on the floor on the exit of 13, and it is very easy to have a little moment out there and clip the outside wall. There's yellow flags ahead, but he's pushing on regardless, and let's try and get an eye of what time he is. He is quite fast through Sector 1, 2 tenths faster in Sector 1. Where is he in Sector 2? It's a 28.811 through Sector 2, which is a decent lap time, and we'll see sector time. We'll see if he can go and put this up at the top. But again, people just need to get a lap time on the board. Fences really like that. He can retire with that time. There's only 15 people who can go through to the second qualifying session, and because AJ Sinden has retired, it is it's basically him not doing. Slugs is a very good driver. Yeah, I agree. Slugs is a very good driver. Slug lad. Yeah, our championship winner, of course, he's on that outlap at the moment. We'll keep an eye out on him. Keji is also a very, very quick driver coming to turn 4, and this sweeping section of corners, right, then left, and left, and right, and right, and left. It is a meandering section, piece of track in Jeddah. That's very difficult to push around, and he's actually just got out on the mediums, Keji. So just knowing that he needs to set a bank of time, does not want to waste a pair of soft tyres in this session, and that is a half decent idea. Actually, it is Alpha Integral who has gone out. He's currently sitting in the pits on a pair of hards, and he's coming out the pits on a pair of hards. So he is he's gone for a very defensive setup, so he's gone for the kind of conservative compound choices, and it's good that the game allows you to switch compounds. One of the big features of the sports update, of course, along with the improved graphics of the cars. And you can't honestly, Slugs is one of the best drivers, and you can't correct it to Strugs with an S. Thank you very much, Dutch. I appreciate it. And Simpendal has gone fastest on the time, so it was a very, very decent lap time in the end. Let's see his middle sector. Yeah, so his middle sector was 28, and I don't know what his final sector was. Not appearing on my times, but very decent. Let's have a look through the standings as it is. We have interesting. I can see who's running exactly what assists. I tell you what. I'll tell you the people who are running no assists in the league. It's Keji, who's running no assists. It is in 12th position. It's Alpha Integral runs no assists. And apparently me, I run no assists. Why is it saying I'm in 16th? It's confused Rain F1 with me, which isn't the case. But that's fine. So it's Rain space F1. Why is that saying that's me? Okay. That's going to be very annoying. Let's see if I can change that. Basically, if I see myself on this little list I've got, it's me. Just pretend I didn't change my... Hey, so actually Matusas has picked up my 13 driver number. I've had that since the start of Season 1, and after not racing in Season 2 in the SRL-100, I've decided it's time to hand it over to Matusas, who has said that he was basically born 13, and all this stuff, and, he got a very good claim to 13. Who is out on track? Alpha Integra's out on a pair of hards, so he won't be pushing. Rain F1 is out through the final sector he's going at the moment, and he'll have a little bit of traffic from the Red Bull. The Red Bull gets out the way nice and cleanly. Towards turn 27 he'll go, and it is fastest through the second sector by 0.2 of a second, and this could be the fastest lap on the board. Let's see if he jips into the 128. So it's a 128.308. Rain has just set the lap times alight. This is a driver right here who can produce something exceptional in this league. If he can conquer the 100% conditions, Rain F1 could be pushing the SRL-100 to new heights. We'll see how he can do, but certainly of one lap pace, Rain F1 has a hell of a lot of pace. And Matusas, because the Matusas has been very graciously working and spending some time today to get a bit of a kind of telemetry type setup, which is very useful for commentary for me, going. For some reason, he'll giggle with this. It's picked up Rain F1 as the crab logger commentator, even though obviously I'm just commentating. So we should probably remove me from the results, and we can change that afterwards. But it's crab logger on P1 according to my timing screen. Of course, on the screen it's Rain F1, but that is very humorous to me. Alpha Integral has put in a 1:33.363, and he will be returning to pits. It's just Chonk who is the one to set a lap time in this session, and he needs to set a lap time, otherwise he will be not getting through to Q2. Even if AJS Inden has DNF'd, Chonk has to set a lap time. No penalties at this stage of the season. But yeah. You can just remove yourself in the lineups table. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to meddle with it halfway through a session, but no, don't do it. Don't meddle with Matusas. It's working very well. It's just I've just got to link crab logger and Rain F1 in my head, which is no problem. Yeah, so it's a bit of a dead rubber session now. Chonk just needs to go out there and set a time. What are you doing, Chonk? Chonk follows the stream, so he'll let us know what's going on. Chonk, come on. Let us know what's going on. We've got 3-0 to England. Right, okay. They're beating Senegal. Good for them. I wonder how they'll do against France. Thanks for the update, Sniper Boys. Rain says Chonka Wonka. A very nice lap time there, Rain. How are you feeling race pace wise? Do you feel like you've got pace to lay down and take your debut win? And it's everyone retiring from the session. It will literally just be Chonk who needs to go out and set a lap, and he's waiting right until the end of the session for no real reason. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3, which I'm not quite sure why there's a yellow flag in Sector 3, because there shouldn't be, and that's frustratingly I think it's when people DNF, it yellow flags it for a second. There we are. So 5 minutes and 8 seconds on the clock left, and it's just Chonk. So I haven't done practices. I've been out all day. Okay. You haven't done any today, but what's your race pace around Jeddah? Do you think you can go and attack the top? Captain Coolwine says, let's go. But Chonk hasn't set a lap time. So I am going to encourage Chonk to leave the pits and go and set a lap time, but I've no idea if he'll go and do that. And I'll keep an eye out in the Discord about what's happening in the other races. Of course, we have Division 2 currently happening behind, and there's been some chat in the league chat about from the other people. DT Race Direction. Yes, so a reminder to everyone in the lobby, do not ready up after qualifying. Chonk has finally decided to go out and lap, and he just needs to do a slow lap, as Rain pointed out, and he is through to the final part of qualifying. And is he he's taken the absolute biscuit, is Chonk, but would you expect Chonk to do anything different? I wouldn't. So Matusas also in the pits. And we'll go on board with Chonk. We'll see. He's gone onto a soft pair of tyres right at the end of this session. And it's a bit risky, because if Chonk... I mean, he's left the pits now, so he'll as soon as he crosses the line, he'll get ahead of AJS Inden. But it's a bit risky from Chonk to do this because, of course, if he makes a mistake or somehow doesn't manage to make it to the line, he will not be in front of AJS Inden. He'll go out of the session. So there's a smallest bit of jeopardy in here. And, yeah, as Vane says, all he has to do is do a slow lap. And, yeah. Chonk just needs to not crash, which I think is easier said than done, Rain. But there's no other drivers on track. He has the whole track to himself, and 3 minutes of the session left. He'd even be able to do another lap if he did somehow disqualify himself from the lap with the time he's got left on the board. I think, yes, he would. So it's a bit of a dead rubber Q2, but of course when we get into Q1, sorry, when we get into Q2, it will be all to play for to get into the top 10 shootout, and it'll be very interesting to see the times that the Division 1 is putting in. If it's your first time following along, please drop us a follow. Every little follow really helps, and of course you can subscribe and do all that stuff if you're really so inclined. Chonk comes to turn 1. And you can always tell he's not being super aggressive. Takes a lot of curb on T1, but you always can tell he's just trying to play it safe. Hits the outside wall, having said that, on the exit of turns 2 and 3. And down to turn 4 he goes now. The long right-hander of turn 5. Left of 6 and 7. And then right is 8. Then 9. And then 10. 11 and 12 come up very, very quickly. And then you have the big hairpin with 8 degrees of banking, just 12 less than Ari Leindijk, the final corner of Zandvoort, but it certainly doesn't feel like that, but that is the case in my commentary notes. And I've actually got a few facts about Saudi Arabia and Jeddah. Some aren't that surprising. Saudi Arabia only outlawed women not being able to drive in 2018, which is ridiculous. And in 2002, 1% of their GDP, their economy, was basically chauffeurs who drove women around. It's that is ludicrous. Yeah, the hairpin features 12 degrees of banking, which is only 7 degrees less steep than the Zandvoort bank here at Ari Leindijk, which is interesting because that corner feels a lot more steep, and its average speed is 250 kilometers around the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, and that's only trumped by Monza, but when you take into fact that the rules are right there, then that's big. So Chonk does set a time, and he certainly wasn't pushing, so that's why I stopped commentating that lap. A 1:33.469. He had a 34.475 first sector, 29.961 second sector, a 29.032 through the final sector. Not fastest in any of the sectors, of course, but enough to progress to the... can Chonk legally retire on track since he's last person? I think you don't go through to the next session unless you retire in the pits. So that's my opinion. I think you have to be back in your garage, or he can maybe, it'd probably be fastest for him just to go and cross the line. If you're listening, Chonk, just go and cross the line. Don't go back into pits because it won't count towards anything, and you don't need to return to pits. The end of the session has come to a close, and just cross the line. And we'll have Q2 coming up soon. So the Mercedes of Chonk currently team late in us. There are places available in Division 1. And I'm very excited to see what has happened in Division 2 today. I'm sure there'll be lots of clips, etc. posted of it. Of course, we're running both of the tracks at the same time. And Chonk does here, and he does cross the line. And good stuff. Q2, let's go. Absolutely. And we'll just get confirmation of the session. It's AJS Inden who is out of Q1. I think he retired and just went to go watch the game, to be honest. So there was very little drama in here, but at least we get a feel of things, and maybe look out for some rocket strikes in the background of this Jeddah Street Circuit. Let's have a quick look at the race director too. Incidents, terminal damage. Oh, it's terminal damage. So yeah, right, okay, he crashes out. He crashes out of a lobby where he really didn't need to push too hard. But that would be a shame for AJ Sinden because he got corner cutting and then he DNF'd. So that was a bit of a mess up. And so that has... Yeah, that's it's got the Q1 results, and I'll go back to live timing. I think that's correct. I think it's done its job, and I haven't crashed out Matusas, but thank you very much for being on hand. I've just kind of I bet he crashed because England scored. How's the other session going, Alex Trent? I know you're in Division 2 at the moment. And we have the start of qualifying 2. So Alex Stretchy says it's alright sitting in silence. I'm sitting in silence. Are you out of Q3 or something? Let's have a look. So full track man. Let's get the everything nailed. And it's kind of like the F1 app, but not as consistent. I'll send you a screenshot after the race, Rain, if you're interested, of what that looks like. But it's maybe not quite as good as the live F1 app, but it's very useful as a commentator to have that feed visible. And yes. No teammate tonight. He's watching the England match. Geordie, I believe, must be out there watching the England match. And it's the Alpines who are... Oh, is it the Alpines? Yes, it's the Williams, who are the first 2 cars out on track. So it'll be Captain Coolwine, the Dutch driver, who will go on board with. And certainly has shown a lot of pace in the SRL-100 Coolwine. And I'm feeling like he can get some decent results in this league. I think today's race is all about attrition. And, of course, not crashing out. Saudi Arabia, of course, having links to Jeddah Street Circuit in Saudi Arabia, links with Formula 1 all the way back to the 1970s. And it's one of the most advanced and technically challenging circuits on the calendar. Very demanding. It's a bit like Takeshi's Castle, with 1,000 runners becoming 100 at the start of this race. But as Captain Coolwine rounds 27, he'll flip on the hot lap, overtake hot lap. Fence apparently has got front wing damage. I don't know how he's got that. But towards turn 1, Captain Coolwine's heads, and we'll see how hard he attacks the first 2 corners, using a bit of curb at 1 and 2. And coming to the left-hand kink of 3. Doesn't really feel like a corner, but it is heading towards the turn 4. This begins a series of complex and challenging corners, right, then left and right. We won't see much overtaking through this sector in the full race, but it is a marvel to watch cars go through that on qualifying pace. He'll cross over the line, and it's a 32.637 as he breaks the sector 1 timing beam, so a decent sector 1. His teammate is slower behind by a tenth and a half. And as he comes to Q the sector 2 out of 16, 17 and 18, it's only the William boys who are yet to set times through the first sector, and it's only a 33 from Dead in the Pool, and it seems like a very quick time through the first sector, and through the second sector it's a 28.939 for Captain Coolwine. So this seems like a really nice and tidy lap for the Dutch driver. It's looking very, very swish. Let's just say that Simpendal has gone 2 tenths quicker, though, through the first sector, so he looks like he's on a better lap. And Coolwine is about to come round the final corner, open up the third of 3 DRS activation points, and he crosses the line. It's a 129.401. His teammate comes across the line moments later, and that is a 129.648 for the 2 Williams boys, so some good pace from those 2. Matusas has made a mistake on his lap. The Haas drivers will be the next 2 to cross the line. It's the Dead and Pool opening up the DRS flap, getting as close to the wall to minimise his run to the line, and that's a 129.866, only good for third position. Gaz, meanwhile, goes just half a tenth of a second faster, so not too much faster. Simpendal does go very fast, very fast. He has fastest of all 3 sectors. 2 tenths up in the first sector, 4 tenths up in the second sector, and marginally up in the final sector. An absolute scorchio lap from Simpendale to dip into the 128s and turn up the wick on qualifying in the SRL-100. I feel like we've got some early candidates for quick pace in these early sessions of the SRL-100. Of course, 9 races will take us through Season 3. We'll have 3 before Christmas, Jeddah, Spain, and a sprint race at Imola in 2 weeks' time, which will be very exciting. Of course, we'll have 2 weeks off for the Christmas period, missing Christmas and New Year's. Then afterwards we'll be back with Silverstone to break us into what will be the rest of Season 3. I'll be hopefully here to host every single one on our Twitch channel. Struggs has gone up into second place, the 3rd driver of the day to dip into the 128s. Rain F1 is actually out there on a lap, and let's see what kind of times Rain can do. He's not faster than Simp through the first sector, and he's actually balked his lap at some point because it is it's showing that he's got Matusas got front wing damage. He has got front wing damage, so that's one of the things I can tell now, because people have been showing their telemetry that they've got front wing damage. So I can have a quick look up and down the field to see what's potentially happened with the car if they have a crash. And Matusas is not on a lap. I think he'll return to the pits. Must have had a mistake on his lap. This one being his hot lap, and just making a mistake and returning to the pits. He is slowing down the car in the McLaren. Weird to see Matusas in the McLaren. Of course, only one of 5 drivers to win a race last season. Matusas, an absolute maestro in wet weather conditions, and I don't expect us to see any kind of wet weather in this session. But who knows? Maybe we will. Can I see your telemetry? I can see that your front wing is broken. Chonk, can I see Chonk's telemetry? Not really, no. I can see that you're an AI. But that's because you're in the pits. You must have AI'd into the pits. That's what I can see. And Chonk, whatever. I'm loving how involved you can get with the telemetry. That's great, man. Honestly, it is really nice. Thanks to Matusas for actually finding this tool, and he's been a bit of a smash today together. But what it could do is make the admin load of the series be a bit easier. Of course, it's going to be duplication of admin through Season 3 as we trial the tool out for a full season before deploying it without fully knowing what it's capable of. But it will be... it will certainly be in use maybe for Season 4. We'll see how it goes. Yes. Let's see. Who's out on a lap? So Fence F1 is actually on a lap at the moment, going through Sector 1. And he's coming up to this series of sweeping right and left-hand corners at Jeddah. And it's quite a difficult track to get a hold of as a commentator, just because it is... so difficult to know what corner they're at. I know what the corner this next one is. It's turn 13. It's a 32.964 at the end of this sector. And that's good. We can see different speed traps. Do you know what the fastest car, the fastest of through the speed trap so far in today's session is Struggs with a Rain F1 with 333 kilometers an hour. He's going to be the fastest car in this session, but he is yet to set a lap time because of his mistake on his lap. So we'll see if he can improve. It's Fence coming towards the final sector now, and it'll be interesting to see whether Fence can go and definitely running 0-0. Hey Adam, how you doing? Didn't fancy reserving today as Fence comes to the line. And cost of time being it's a 129.480. Enough for 5th position, but a second off the provisional pole driver Simpendal. Matusas is on a lap here, and he is he's just starting a lap, so he's going to be setting time. Of course, made a mistake on his first run. I don't think Alpha Integral has actually gone out to pit there. And we have 6 minutes left in the session, and I'm reckoning the cut-off time will be somewhere around a 1:29.5. I'm going to go for 1:29.5 is what I reckon will be the cut-off time in this session. Matusas pushing through the first sector here, and Rain F1 is about to cross into the sector 1 time, and he goes 0.4 of a second faster through sector 1 alone. So Rain F1 is on a lap at the moment. Matusas, meanwhile, crosses that line and is only good enough, only a 32.5 through that sector, so quite a fair bit off the pace, but I think it's going to be a decent lap time nonetheless. Yeah, the 5 winners last year, I was kind of talking about that a little bit. It's, of course, Struggs and Fade for the Williams. Both Alpines scored a Division 1 win. Matusas in dramatic circumstances, Australian, very dramatic circumstances for Joker. In the High on Money's made a mistake somewhere because he's out of the race. Matusas and Joker for the Alpines, and Gaz MC picked up a win in the penultimate race of last year at Brazil. So Matusas coming over the line now, and Rain F1's actually about to cross the line, and he goes into a 1:27.825, already knocking on territory of what I had predicted for fastest time. And Matusas with a very solid first lap there, a 1:28.955. I'm predicting possibly everyone from Captain Coolwine down will have to go out to set another lap time. Keji is out there on a lap at the moment, and we'll see if Keji is improving. The Red Bull driver had made his only appearance in the SRL-100 last year at Hungary, the first race of last year. He came second in that race, and Fent says he's happy with his 29.48. I mean, it's a mightily impressive lap, especially for the track conditions as they are. And Keji, I don't think is pushing. I think actually no, he's actually set a lap, has Keji. So we have a few cars on their out lap, OS Degrees being one of them, for the Ferrari team. Has everyone put the fish helmet on to make me mad? Like, what is this fish helmet skullduggery? Dead in the Pool's got the fish helmet on. This is this is shenanigans. This is. Who else has got the fish helmet on? Because they're all getting kicked. Blubberbump's got a fish helmet on. Why are they all got a fish helmet on? This is disgusting stuff. This is real disgusting stuff from the league. The shithousery going on here is unbelievable. And I hope Struggs has kept the old faithful purple helmet. If that's gone, then that's a whole, that's a big bit of his identity out of the way. Matusas returning to the pits. Keji will also be the next one to return to the pits, and Rain F1 will return to pits afterwards, I believe. And it's the Haas of Dead in the Pool who is coming towards the end of a lap to start a time. It's Gaz MC who's currently in 10th position on the bubble, so he'll need to improve, and I'm sure he'll go out soon. Dead in the Pool down in 11th position. 12th is Giri on tour, who is going to be out of the race. Blubberbump in 13th. 14th is Chonk. Alpha Integral is 15th. And honestly, this whole fish helmet nonsense, like, seriously, like, I might as well just end the stream. I know Fence has got the fish helmet because he's got... Temp's got the fish helmet. This is disgusting. This is terrible news. Right, what is this? I don't like this one bit. I don't like this new look SRL at all. For people who don't know me, I think the fish helmet is possibly the worst addition to F122, and that includes the supercars. The supercars are far better than these silly little fish helmets. Dead in the Pool has just been through the first sector, and he has improved 2 tenths on his own time, so he is improving through the first sector, and we'll see if he can go any better throughout this. And Medu says all my tyres are on 10% now, so Q3 is going to be fun. I think you get an extra set of tyres if you make it through to Q3, and I think with that lap time you will be on pace to make it through to Q3. Coming round the final corner is Temp, who is about to start a lap, I believe. I'll keep an eye out to see if he improves his time, but I think he's just on an out lap. And Dead in the Pool, who will be the next car to set a lap time here. It will be his final chance to improve. And through the second sector, he was only a tenth up on his time. So I think 3 tenths all in all up through the first 2 sectors. And let's see if he can improve his time. It's 2 tenths all in all. So losing a tenth in that final sector. And he lost just under 10th in that final sector, so only good enough for 9th. So that may be not good enough to actually get through. I'm predicting a 29.4 to be the cut-off time, 29.4, 29.5, so certainly at risk. And OS Degrees puts his car up into 6th position with a 29.3, so he has probably done enough to get by. Denderpool trying to get out of the way of cars around him, especially his teammate Gaz MC, who's coming through to set a lap time. The Haas team nicely working together through these tricky conditions of qualifying, and Gaz MC, Blubber Bump and Alpha Integral all out on a lap. Actually, Alpha Integral coming round the final corner now. Let's see where he can go and put his car up to. It's a 1:28.447, so he goes second. So he bumps Denderpool down into 11th. 10th is Temp, who is on a lap and not improving, so he's in danger of being knocked out. Gaz MC is improving, so he could go faster. Blubber Bumper's returned to the pit, so he won't be going any faster. Chonk, meanwhile, is, I think, way down on his time, but about to start a lap and does just cross the lap time before the end of the session. Crossing the line now is Tempe. Yes, it must have been Temp, who just crossed the line and didn't improve on his time. But did he get through to another lap? I think he did, but I doubt he's going to be able to improve the amount of ERS he's spent. Coming around the final corner is Fent, who is going to be returning to pit, so in 9th position, so not necessarily safe. Gaz MC coming around the final corner is only 10th, no, he's 4 attempts up through the first 2 sectors and goes up into 7th, so that knocks Temp down into the bubble, into the knockout zone, and Fent is knocked, he's in 10th, and 11th is Temp. And I think Chonk is improving here. So Chonk has gone 5 tenths faster through the first sector, but has quite a slow time on the board. So only a 1:30.924 for Chonk. Let's see where he can go through the second sector. Crossing through the final sector. Get out of his dead in the pool. No, he's returning to pits. He's got absolutely no fuel on board. And it will be Chonk who will be the last competitive car to potentially go for it here. And he could be knocking Fence out of the final top 10 shootout. Let's see if Chonk's had enough pace. He improved up a 10th through the middle sector, but I don't know if Chonk's got enough pace here. He's going to need to find around 4 tenths in the final sector to have a chance of knocking out Fence from the session, and he does improve his time, but only just into the 1:29, so slow pace from Chonk here. And he puts in chat, Christ, just not having the pace. Was there any issues on that lap? But I didn't expect that Chonk to be knocked out in 14th position in qualifying 2, showing how far the bar has been raised. It's Temp, Dead in the Pool, Giri on Tour, Chonk and Blubber Bump, both Alpha Tories out in qualifying 2, and only the Haas of Gaz MC, who makes it through to the final part of qualifying, Struggs in 5th position, our championship leader last year, and he'll be certainly looking to challenge going forward. But it's a big gap that Rain F1 has at the top, and that is going to be very difficult to fight against. And Fent says he's really, really lucky. Went out on a really worn set of softs instead of new ones. So, out of qualifying goes Temp, Dead in the Pool, Giri on Tour, Chonk, and Blubber Bump. And provisional pole was, of course, set by Rain F1. So a very good lap time from him. And let's have a quick look. Oh, it did finally post to socials about 20 minutes late. So that's good. Thank you very much for following along, everyone. I'm just going to have a quick scroll around of the race director, as I normally do. Of course, my role as race director for the SRL-100 involves collecting all of these kind of metrics for the reports that we do each week, and that will come some point at this week, probably somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday, I suspect. Yes, thank you very much for the follow, Kenneth. Really appreciate that. Let's see if we can get to 70 follows through the rest of this race. Only one more follow, so it's definitely possible. And we go into the final part of qualifying, and we'll find out who will take the first pole position of the SRL-100 Division 1 Season 3. That's becoming a mouthful. Division 1 of the SRL-100. Let's see who can take pole position. So who is going to be... Yeah, this stream isn't for your division. Kenneth, there will hopefully be streams of Division 2 soon enough, but at least you can keep an eye out on the Division 1 stream. And thank you very much for following either way. And Simpendale has some supporters from Kenneth. And who else has been cheering on? Avox NLD has been cheering on Simpendale, so he's got some supporters, and I think Simpendale could very easily be on for top 5 in this session. We have a number of cars out on tracks. It's actually our championship leader. Yo, what the? Why is Strux wearing the fish helmet? It's purple helmet or nothing with fish. With Strux. Like that's unbelievable. I almost don't want to ride on board with him, but you know, look at Simpendale. Simpendale, you know, is your average consumer puts on the default helmet. Better than nothing, right? And nothing being the fish helmet. So how's it looking in the Division 2, Kenneth? Still going for pole though, since I'm only a couple attempts behind the fastest guy so far. That's could be good pace from Kenneth in his SRL-50 debut. And let's see if he's able to do that. But it'll be Struggs who will be the first car to post here, and NL Chris now coming in to support Simpendale as well. Nice to see some Simpendale fans. I think Slugs could go and certainly look for top 5 positions in this race. Of course, transitioning to the wheel in since taking his championship win. The last race he actually did on the controller was Japan, and starting his lap. Let's see what the championship. The reigning champion can do, and yeah, very nice. 69 followers. Let's make that 70. And coming through 1, 2, and 3. Let's see if he can push through this difficult sector. This sector is really make or break for your lap. So very many unforgiving corners at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, and oh, he just invalidates coming out of Q. Of T12 there, so not perfect from our reigning champ. He'll have to return to the pits. It's a 32.462 for it's 36.462 for Matsusas, and it is a decent time through the first sector. Strux, it does say that Strux got a 32.383 through the first sector, so that was a very, very good time. But yeah, 32.462 for Matsusas through the first sector, and Struggs sets the fastest middle sector, but of course has actually invalidated his time, so let's not pay too much close eyes of that. Matsusas actually takes 3 temps off of that 28.676 through the first sector, and it will be the Matsusas who sets the first proper time of qualifying through the top 10 shootout to find out who's going to start the race on pole position in around 20 minutes time. Comes towards the line, and it is going to be a 1 minute 28.878 for Matsusas. So that is the benchmark. Fence puts in a 129.328. Next over the line is going to be the Red Bull of Keji. How's he doing on his lap? It looks like he's going to be faster up to pole position, but next the Haas of Gaz MC crosses the line, and this is only good enough for second position, so it doesn't knock Keji off the top. Next over the line is Simpendale, who is pushing to the line, doing the smallest gap he can do, and it's a 128.091 to take first position. But next up is Rain, and Rain certainly seems to be on a very, very decent lap. He's 5 temps up on Simpendale through the first 2 sectors. Let's see what kind of time he can pull out of the final sections. Do not mention the helmets to me dead in the pool. I'm bloody furious. It's a 127.392 for Rain. Beautiful stuff for Rain, and that is far better than my predicted qualifying time. In my notes, it was a 127.5. I rounded that up to a 127 when talking to Cool Wine before the race and AJ before the race, and they were shocked that it would be that high. But Rain F1 is an absolutely unplayable time. I don't think anyone's going to come close to that, but we'll see if anyone can pull out a lap right at the last. Maybe we're looking at Alpha Integral, our championship reigning champion. Struggs may pull something out the back bag. Maybe Keji can pull something out, and we'll see as the track conditions improves who else can dip into the 127. Simpendal obviously around there or thereabouts when it comes to the times, and honestly, I just think that rain lap is, yeah, I agree. A 127 is sick. I'm nowhere near that lap time. I can probably do a 129, and I would say I'm tier 1 just, but it'd be interesting to compare lap times across the two championships and see where everyone is about. But yeah. OS Degrees, let's go and follow him through Sector 1. One of the few drivers to have completed every single SRL-100 race they could have attended, and that's 29 race entries. This is race entry 30 for OS Degrees, and it is, yeah, good stuff from him through the first sector. OS Degrees, his time's not come up on the board. Why is that? Has he... no, he should have come up on the board. Not coming up on the board, not updating for me, so I can't quite see where he is through the first sector, but we'll get an update on his time pretty soon. And Harry's asking if we can drug test Rain F1. Rain F1, can you provide a sample for the drug tester extraordinaire Harry Fabian? So through the second sector, OS Degrees, it's a 28.747 through the second sector, so a little bit off the pace of Rain F1. But even OS Degrees has a fish helmet, man. This just feels wrong. This just feels wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go and change some rules about, I think, and get this fish helmet outruled or something. But then everyone will just choose it, won't they? I love the fish helmet. Yeah, OS Degrees goes up and does a 129.151 into 6th position, so not quite knocking on the 128 lap times, and it is the McLaren who's leaving the pits and does nicely get out of the way of Alpha Integral there. So some good awareness from Matusas to get out of the way of Alpha Integral, who's on a lap at the moment. Struggs has made a mistake again. He'll have time to return to the pits, but I don't know if he'll have a fresh set of tyres. So Struggs a little bit out of shape here, probably pushing a bit too much, and very uncharacteristic errors from our championship winner. We've seen him pull out laps from the last before, and it's Captain Coolwine who will be the next car to come over the line, a 101 through the middle sector. I don't know if this is going to be particularly fast here, maybe creeping up into the 129 fours around that area. And Emmy holds pole by 6 tenths, currently with 6 minutes to go in the SRL Division 100, in the Div 2. Of course, it's the first time we're ever running 2 simultaneous league events back to back, and it's paining me that I'm not watching that. It is absolutely paining me. Please keep me up to date with a 29.318 is pole position in Div 1. 27.392 is pole position of Div 2. Emibot coming back after a hiatus through Season 2 and looking to qualify well. Coolwine does get a 129.252, which is a decent lap. It's Alpha Integral who's going to be next over the line. The American racer in the Red Bull is coming up to the line. No, he's returning to the pits, so he will try to get out, back in and out, that driver. And the number 2, both for... he's the number 1 at Red Bull, but he's the number 2 driver. And... Struggs. Let's see. Matusas, have you got the correct time next to your name? You got the correct car. No, you got number 2 next to your car as well, which is wrong. You got to go choose 13. You got to go choose 13, Matusas. I'm sure he doesn't care at all because he's on a lap, but he's not on a lap because he's invalidated, and that's because you didn't choose number 13. And I don't know if Matusas will get another attempt here. If he has enough fuel, he will be able to get back around, and I don't know how much fuel he's carrying. He's carrying a few laps of fuel, so I think he will have a chance to go for another lap. So we'll see. We'll see what he can do. Who else is on lap time? OS Degrees out lap is going to be Gaz MC. It's Gaz MC who will be the next car to set a lap, and Matusas can go again, so he'll be charging up his ERS and be the next car to actually cross the line in anger, but Gaz MC on an outlap. So is Keji, so is Simpendal, and so is Rain F1. How much faster can Rain F1 go? He's already set a 1:27.392, which is an almost unplayable time as it stands, and I'm surprised he's even gone out there to risk damaging his reputation. I don't know if anyone will get anywhere close to 1:27.392, but Struggs is yet to set a time, Alpha Integral yet to set a time. You've got to play it safe. Can't just do the Sebastian Vettel wait in the garage to see if you get pole position type thing, and you won't win many fans if you do. Let's say that. It's Matusas who's currently on a lap, so let's go on board with Matusas through the first sector. He cuts the corner and spins. You know what Matusas said to me earlier on today? You always miss my amazing overtakes and always catch me when I crash. If you're watching that one back, Matusas, or maybe you're watching the stream as you're going along, I kind of see what you mean. That was unfortunate. I think he'll have fuel to go and go again, but he'll certainly be way past the best of those tyres, so I don't know if he'll be able to prove on a 1:28.8. As it stands, so currently sitting 5th on the time boards, but we have the final round of laps to come in, and it's Simpendal who's coming over the line at the moment. He's going to start a lap. Cool Wine is on an out lap, so it's going to be Gaz MC who will keep an eye on through the first sector. Simp is going for P1. Simp is absolutely going for P1 according to NL Vince. He's not bothered about that 6/10 gap, and we'll keep an eye out on the times through the first sector. Gaz MC has gone marginally quicker through the first sector, says fastest of the session, but I don't think it quite is. Nearly a tenth faster through the first sector for Gaz MC. Next over through the first sector is Simpendal, who through sector 1 has improved their time, has he? No, he's not going for Q1. He's not improving. He won't be setting a time here, so Gaz MC can push and only slightly up through the middle part of this lap, so he will need to find a big chunk if he wants to make any kind of inroads on this standing field. Definitely could maybe push for third if Keji doesn't improve, but that is a big if. Simpendal has mucked up their lap and won't be taking pole position away from Rain. His Tango is Keji's also mucked up his lap, so he won't be improving. So Gaz MC does improve marginally, but only good enough for 4th position, doesn't improve their time, and it's Fence who's made a mistake through the final sector past turns 22, and he won't be improving, and it's going to be Rain who's going to come to the line, and he's going a tenth quicker. He's going absolutely like a demon, Rain, and as he opens up his flap, comes towards the line, it's a 1:27.199. That is a sensational time from the young Brit. Well done. I don't know if Struggs can improve. Struggs has made a mistake, so Struggs isn't going to be pushing here. Alpha Integral puts it up into 3rd position to the Red Bull provisionally in 3rd place. Let's see if Struggs can go anywhere into 6th position. He goes. He'll be a bit gutted with that. No, he left 10th on the board, but it's Rain F1 who takes his maiden pole on his debut in the SRL-100 Division 1 and absolutely smashed it. Matusas who pointed out that Struggs had made a mistake 10 points out it was still faster than him. So Fence says I was up by 5/10, got put off by a car letting me past. No, so he's in 10th. That no was so strange. No, but that's it. That's the end of qualifying. Reminder, if you're watching along and you're in a race, do not ready up. That's Div 1 or Div 2. Once you get to the grid, do not ready up. And Alex Trent G, I'd dearly like to know what is going on in the Division 2. Maybe in the future I can just have a sneaky peek at times like this and switch over to catch the ends of moments like that. But we'll see how that plays out in the next few weeks. But it's Rain F1 with nearly 8/10 faster, 9/10 faster, nearly 9/10 faster than Simpendal in 2nd, who made a mistake on their 2nd lap. Alpha Integral got a lap in right at the end. It's Red Bull 3 and 4, Gaz MC in 5th, Struggs in 6th, Matusas in 7th, 8th in OS Degrees, Captain Coolwine in 9th, and Fence in 10th position. And those are the incidents. So we'll have a little bit of time. Watch out for, in the Race Director D1 chat, what time we will be going live, and it is going to be at 21:04. We will have the ready up for the formation lap. So 21:04, that will happen. Do not do it beforehand. I cannot stress that enough. Good session from the AlphaTauri teams, who sandwiched the top 10 shootout. First for Rain F1, and 10th is Fence. So, some news coming in from Division 1. Emmy has pole with a 1:29.318. Dale on the second position, sharing the front row at 29.594 for those two. So they'll be buzzing with that. Strug's at least doing well in Division 2. Of course, Dale, the twin brother, let's stop saying younger brother, the twin brother of our championship leader, reigning champion. We can't call him the championship leader anymore. No one wants to lead the championship at this moment in time. And if you want some update on the sessions, it's crashed at the moment, Matusas, if you want an update on what's going on with my live timings. But I'm hoping that once I actually jump into the next session, that my timing board will come back. Let's see how that works. Let's have another fact about the Jeddah Street Circuit. We'll have a fact about Saudi Arabia. The total land area of Saudi Arabia is 2.15 million square kilometers, but there are no rivers in the country. It's the largest country in the world without a river. That's quite interesting. Anything else interesting about Saudi Arabia? Not really. It was the 75th Grand Prix to the 75th different venue to actually host a F1 classified F1 Constructors Championship. Blubber Bumpers Leicester session. That's not good to see. Good, it's just Blubber Bump, because otherwise it's me. If everyone else leaves the session, then it is just me. It's almost a complete new grid, so I'm just going to fuel the car +7 to be safe on fuel. Not a bad idea. From Chunk, we've got 3 minutes until the formation lap begins. And if you're new here, please drop us a follow. Really, really appreciate it. We will have full coverage of the race coming up. And let's have a quick look through the Discord channels and see what's being said. Strug said he's enjoying the show. Sarcasm. Some people say Dale getting some congratulations for starting on the front row in the first ever Division 2 race of the SRL-100. And Tempe wishing some good luck to everyone. We're about 3 minutes away from the start of the sessions, 2 minutes rather. And yes, we're just looking forward to the start of the session. And I've no idea. I'm hoping this moves over and sorts itself out in a second. I have no idea if it will, but I'm just talking about my own telemetry here. I don't know if there's any way I can share it with you. There probably is a way I could share it with you guys on the fly, but it's all pretty boring stuff, really, and maybe some of it some people wouldn't want to share data-wise. I mean, it's all just like their tyre percentage. I mean, Matusas was on 21% worn softs when setting his final times there. So, those were quite worn and quite difficult. Gaz MC wishing everyone good luck. So is Captain Coolwine and so is Fence. So good luck everyone in the race. Of course, a long 150 laps of the Jeddah Corniche Circuit to come up in Saudi Arabia. And it'll be interesting to see who can come out on top here, because often with 100% races, who can show absolute pure one-lap pace is not the person who can show consistency over an hour long. And let's see if let's see what happens here. We have 20 seconds left, and I'm very excited to bring you this one. Of course, I'm Gareth Allen, Gareth in the Discord, the race director for the SRL-100 and commentator for this and a few other leagues, but sod the other leagues. This is the main show, isn't it? The Syndicate Racing League. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for the follow, Just Rillo. That takes us to 70 follows. Thank you very much, everyone, who helped us get to that milestone. And we have the lap. We have it about to begin. So we'll go through the different tyres that the drivers are on. And it's a range, actually. Let's flick over and get this all set up as we want it for the start of the race. And it's Rain F1 starting on the hard tyres. Simpendel going a bit more aggressive on the medium tyre. Hard for Alpha Integral. Keji on a pair of softs. He'll be going aggressive at the start of this race. Gaz MC also on the hard. Strugs also opting to go very aggressive on a pair of softs. Only cars in the top 10 to do so. Strugs in the Aston Martin this year. Matusas making a move to McLaren. He'll be looking to make moves from 7th position on the grid. OS Degrees starting race number 30 for him, and it is 8th position for him on the track, and hard to take him through his first stint. Captain Coolwine in 9th position in the Williams. He'll be looking to make a good debut outing in the SRL-100 with a full seat. Fence is in 10th position. Temp in 11th. Dead in 12th. I'm just laughing at these fish helmets, man. It makes it look like ridiculous. 13th is High on Money. Giri on Tour. Chonk is in 14th. Very disappointing qualifying for him. Blubberbump in 15th. AGS in the 16th. I tell you what, Blubber Chonk took so long to do his lap in Q1. He only ended up getting 2 more positions after all that farting around. So Chonk will be a bit disappointed with his time. And we'll see what kind of race he can have. Let's switch over to the position change metric and see how this race unfolds. And it's gonna be an interesting one, isn't it? Dutch jury wishing the drivers good luck. And it's a spin from Rain, trying to heat his tyres up, and cars having to get out the way here. I think Rain would be best placed just to not do anything. I don't know what he's trying to do here. He's making an absolute meal of it. But he's spanned the car. I think AJS Inden is letting him by, and he's ghosted. So a bit of a mess, to be honest. But we'll have the start of this race coming up very, very soon as the final cars start to round the grid, and the Rain F1 will just cut right through. Let's have the start of the SRL-100 season. The drivers begin to stare as the SRL-100 starts. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5... And the Syndicate go racing in Jeddah, and it seems like a good start from Simpendal, a really bad start from Rain, who loses a position straight away from the start. Struggs has had an absolute delightful start and has already made up 3 places as he battles for third at least with his good friend Keji. All the cars seem to be quite clean through the first set of corners, and it's Simpendal into the lead. There's a big pile up at the back, huge pile up, and everyone seems to have survived it at least. But there's a lot of debris on the track, and that has brought out a full safety car on lap 1. Oh my lord, I started to croak up. Crazy stuff. We have a load of cars with front wing damage. OS Degrees, Fence, Captain Coolwine, Chonk. Temp, I believe, has maybe picked up no wing. No, he's got through it. Matusas also with wing damage. We have Giri on Tour. He's got through that okay. It's absolute luck of the draw. Dead in the pool. Also with a bit of wing damage. I think AGS Inden also has made through that okay, and Alpha Integral hasn't made it through. Thank you very much for the follow, the Angry Walrus, and Walrus, I can't say my L's. There we are, it's out of the bag. And and an absolute rocket ship start for Simpendal to get in front of Rain. Rain, of course, really cooled down his tyres after making that mistake out of turn 27, and it was a good sportsman from everyone to just get the job done there. And it's Keji who's really pushing. We have a full safety car here, and it was a big crash, as NL Vince said. And crazy stuff at the start of this race. I have no idea how this is going to affect the rest of the race. Of course, the big gainers through that were Chonk, who's up into 9th position. But does Chonk have front wing damage? He's not a gainer because he's got no front wing. All these cars. I tell you what, I think it's everyone who started on the fish helmet. Obviously not. But this is the curse of the fish helmet. If you don't wear the fish helmet lap 1, then you don't have crashes like that. So Rain F1 comes to the pits. So that is an interesting one. Rain F1 has decided to pit onto a pair of medium tyres, and he gets rid of that hard tyre compound in the race, but he'll be down into 8th position. It's Fence who's next in the pit lane. He's going to have a front wing change and take a little moment of time to start working on that car. The Haas will leave the pits first. No, look at these cars getting held up. So I think the Gaz MC maybe had a penalty, and I think they went 3 wide through turn 3. On the exit of turn 3, there was an almighty clattering of cars, and somehow every car still in the race. But I wonder if any of them have picked up any long-term damage, and some good pit stop times there. I think we'll see how that plays out through. And OS Degrees has joined the race, so he's clearly not in control. Also Gaz MC in AI at the moment, but I think he's jumped out of AI. So clearly not in control of the race at that point in time. And a big mash-up at the start. It's Simpendal who got up into first position and really quick off the line. Keji in second position, Struggs in third, and Keji's a lad. He wouldn't put on the fish helmet and do horrible things. Gaz MC up into fourth, Temp up into fifth, High on Money, Geary up 7 positions at the start, and AJ Sinden up 9 positions. Thanks to avoiding the carnage, it pays dividends to be cautious in the opening laps of a 100% race. He'll have Rain right behind, who wasn't involved in that collision but decided to pit and remove himself off the hard tyres. So maybe feeling that those were the wrong tyres straight away in this race. OS Degrees down in 9th, Captain Corn down in 10th, Blubber Bump up 4 positions into 11th, Chonk in 12th, and it's Matusas who lost 6 positions, Fence lost 4, Alpha Integral, who was near the front of the grid at the start of the race, he is in 12th position. Denapool is down in last position as things stand. We'll have another lap of safety car. Let's get some more of this stuff on and see what tyres the tyres, what tyres the cars have gone to. Okay, so Keji and Struggs stay out on a pair of softs. They will be putting pressure on Simpendal after this safety car restart, and you'll notice neither car trying to want with the tyres. It's only Gaz MC who started on the hards. He remains on the hards on lap 3 of the race. Of course, Coolwine and Matusas have both switched on to the hards at this point, and Chunk says, I was 3 wide, but then there was a huge blockade up the road, but I don't know really what happened, and I just came up to it. So Fence says he's really lucky not to have rear wing damage. So fair play to Fence on that one for avoiding rear wing damage. It's difficult that we had a safety car straight away. We all looked like we got through the first 2 corners nicely. It was turn 3 where that collision happened, and very, very tricky conditions. If you are not part of the Discord, please click on the About section and get part of the Discord action. Come join us on track. There's positions open in D1 and D2 as things stand. Of course, you have to get your clean driver tag first, and once you get your clean driver tag, you can see the league application channel and join in on the SRL-100. We host 2 divisions at 8 PM. This is Division 1. Division 2 currently not being broadcasted, but we're also looking for a commentator to do that. So if you're interested and think you can do half a job, even if you've not done it before, I'd never done it before commentating here, so I'd love to give someone an opportunity to broadcast it. It's quite a fun thing to do, and I've kind of gone all in on it now, so I'm really, really enjoying it. And Medusa says it's 50 lap race, and still people are going for turn 1/2 overtakes. I mean, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer making a cliched comment. But it is a return to racing on lap 3, and it's Simpendal who will have the task of restarting this one in the Alpine. Will ride on board to make sure it's a clear and concise return to racing with no funny business that causes consternation down the pack, and he's just waiting for the safety car to return to pits. It was a little bit of a late call, so he doesn't have much options with where he's going to restart the race here, and I think he's doing a decent job of keeping the back up, and he lights up the rear end and heads for it, and it's Keji who's caught out, and Struggs is trying to go too wide, and it's actually Gaz MC who's coming alongside Struggs, and I think Gaz MC thinks better of it as Struggs tries to go up the inside of Keji. There may have been a bit of contact between the good friends, and it is Simpendal who's got away nicely there. Let's see down the pack, Giri on tour trying to come through. It's Tempe who's making a few gains here in the Williams, and Tempe doing very, very well there. Giri on tour in 6th, Rain F1 in 7th, 8th is OS Degrees and AJ Cinder in 9th position. The Keji is already fallen a second behind Simpendal, so Struggs and Keji attacking each other at the start of the race with Gaz MC involved as well, has hampered that effort to try and attack the lead of the race here, and it's Simpendal who's setting the early pace. We'll see what the first sectors are. Of course, Simpendal has set the fastest first sector, 5.5 seconds faster than he's gone before, but fastest first sector. I don't quite have the sector timing with me in front of me, but very, very quick through there. Temp is in 5th position. He's only 2.84 seconds behind Gaz MC, so looking for an overtake. Rain F1 is looking to make moves and does pass Giri on the exit of turn 16 on a run down to turn 22, and a good pass. Temp trying to put on the pressure on Gaz MC, but he'll be very aware that he'll have the quick driver of Rain F1 behind. Gaz MC on those hard tyres, doing very well to keep up with the soft runners ahead, and those softs may be past their best already. They were probably hoping for not having to run under safety car conditions. Rain F1 who's using a little bit of ERS to close on Temp here, and will he go into a move into turn 1? Temp goes for the defensive line around the outside. Rain F1 will try to go in the Alfa Romeo, and Rain gets the job done, and it's OS Degrees and it's High on Money and OS Degrees who are battling just behind, and it's Geary on tour, of course, not High on Money, who just doesn't lose out on that one. So Rain F1 up into 5th position, and the next car ahead is Gaz MC. Keji picks up a 3-second penalty already early on, the first car to pick up a 3-second penalty. That could have long-term implications on the race. Let's see how he picks up warnings through the rest of this race. Looking down the order, OS Degrees looks like he's made a good move onto Giri on tour through round 13, turn 13, and on the 5th tour of the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, he is up into 7th position. The Ferrari driver on his 30th start. Temp now running just behind Temp isn't on Rain here, but Rain is making a move on Gaz MC and making those medium tyres work. So it's Rain who is moving up through the field after making an early pit stop, benefiting from all those cars crashing behind, that he didn't go right to the back of the field. But he'll be now looking to push on Struggs, and Struggs, our championship leader, will know a thing or two about keeping a car behind, and DeSago said that wasn't a good start. Was that not a good start in the SRL-100 D2, DeSago? What happened in the Division 2? People, keep me informed, people, what's going on in Division 2. Simpendal sets a faster time. Keji suddenly goes quicker by a 10th and a half, so a 10th and a half quicker by Keji, and he sets the fastest lap on lap 5. So Keji looking to just sneak under into that DRS window and using a bit of ERS to get there. Struggs has also closed down a little bit over the last lap, and DeSago says he's binned it. So are you out of the race then, DeSago? Are you out of the start with a VSC as well? We had a big safety car incident in the Division 1, and Struggs just running a little bit wide through there and had to back off to avoid the penalty, and does fall further behind from Keji. Keji trying everything he can to close up into DRS range. That will help him as he tries to close down, and the DRS activation right on the detection, right on the exit of this corner. I don't think he's quite under that second barrier, but he doesn't want to spend too much ERS because that would hamper him from attacking And defending later on in the race, Rain is a second behind Struggs, not quite getting into the DRS that time round. And Keji will have DRS out of turns 22, 23 and 24. Opens up the DRS for the first time, and that will allow him to just conserve a bit of ERS on this lap. And if he can just close down to Simpendal, you can see how much that's worth. That's worth 2/10, and the pressures is on Simpendal, who is at the lead of this race, has led since getting past Rain F1 from the start, who made a mistake and is now coming back on a set of medium tyres. Rain is just he's setting good times. A 32.878 at this stage is super, super fast. And we could have someone who could challenge throughout the season here. Gaz MC in 5th position, doing well to keep Temp behind on those softer medium compounds. That makes no sense. And OS Degrees actually battling with Temp and trying to go up the inside of turn 4, but thinks better of it. AGS Inden, the Ferrari teammate, sitting just behind and making a little bit of contact with the wall there. It's Rain F1 who's right on the back of Struggs as they head to turn 13. I think Struggs just positioned his cars a little bit inwards to make sure that he doesn't think of any kind of lunge, and Rain will be right on the back of the car on the exit of turn 16, this right left-hander, and on the run down to turn 22, Rain will get DRS, and I think he'll get the job done. Let's see if Struggs uses a bit of ERS to defend. I don't think he does, and it's going to be pushing for Rain. He'll try to get by into turn 22. I don't think he's going to be close enough this time around, but he's very, very good on traction out of turn 22. And on the long run into turn 27, it'll be very hard for Struggs to defend this. He'll remain up the inside. Actually, Rain thinks better of it. You can hear him just lift out of it a little bit. And he tries to open up the corner for turn 27 and get a better exit and keep DRS as well. So just trying to play it a little bit safe there. And I think it's Keji who's come to the pits. So on lap 6, Keji has come to the pits. Struggs opts to stay out there for another lap. See if he can get the overcut on Keji, but Keji, starting on those soft tyres to go aggressive in this race, has gone on to a pair of mediums. The pit stop for Keji was a 20... didn't quite get what the pit time was, but quick enough for Keji, but he goes all the way to the bottom of the field. Rain F1 now 3.5 seconds behind the race leader, both on similar age medium tyres here. Let's see how that gap develops. OS Degrees still pushing behind this battle behind Gaz MC. Gaz MC doing very well to keep faster cars behind on those medium tyres, and going defensive into turn 13 was Gaz MC there, so doing just about everything he can within his power, and Temp gets a lot better drive out of turn 13. No, it's Gaz MC who has the better drive on the outside of that corner, and Gibby on tour gets past Captain Woolmine, who must have made a mistake out of turn 13. The Williams driver of Temp will be so close on the run into turn 22, and you just don't want to go for an overtake. He's being really, really sensible there, Temp, of backing out of that overtake, but you just don't want to go into an overtake there because it's so hard to go through too wide there. Very, very fast speed you're going, of course, at this moment in time, and Gaz MC chooses to go as defences as possible. Struggs, meanwhile, on those soft tyres, has managed to keep up within the DRS of Rain, which will keep him going. Temp is desperately trying to get by and will have another boot of DRS down on the straight, but Gaz MC's straight line speed has been good enough to keep him behind so far, but I think Temp finally gets up into 4th position, and Gaz MC will look to try and not lose a position to OS Degrees as well. OS Degrees sticks the wheels down the inside, and Gaz MC goes very late on the brake. A bit of a difficult place to rejoin, and he loses position to OS Degrees, AGS Inden fence. So that's 4 positions lost in a matter of a few corners for Gaz MC, who of course run 2 races ago in Brazil. And he'll hope that he can have better pace later on in the race when he can switch to the medium tyre, but kept cars behind for a long time. The gap to Struggs is now 7 seconds, and Struggs has done very, very well here to keep within the DRS of Rain, and I think he realises that if he can do that, then it shows that he's got defensive pace 1, and it could give him the undercut against Keji, and it won't be too long until Struggs does decide to pit. But while he's got DRS from the car in front, he won't mind that all, because it's actually dragging him along through this race. Rain has closed the gap at the top by a second over the last few laps. Last time around it was a 32.878 for Rain, and it was a 33.569 for Simpendal. So we will see if what can go on. So there's a safety car in Division 2. Thank you very much for letting us know, DeSago. And Strug's just keeping within the DRS zone. He's doing enough to keep it alive, but you don't want to stay on those tyres for too long. Chonk, who had that big boon of a start because of gaining so many places, has actually lost a few positions here. It's OS Degrees and Temp who are fighting into turn 1, and OS Degrees will look to the inside of Temp. Two fishes go toe-to-toe through 1 and 2, and there's a little bit of contact between the two maybe, but I think leaving each other as much room as they can. A lot better drive for OS Degrees out of turn 3 and into turn 4. And yeah, that's a good question. What is the top 3 in Division 2, DeSago? Our man on the ground, DeSago, can let us know what's going on there. And OS Degrees is in 4th position there, thanks to that overtake. As Strugs has just fallen out of DRS range of the car in front. So I think Strugs, unless he can sneak back under, which I certainly don't think he can, he's lost 5 tenths already here. I think Strugs will go into the pits at the end of this lap, and it's Emmy, Sol and McLeod who make up the top 3 in Division 2. So I'm sure some exciting racing going on there. And Vence just clips the wall, turns in too early, and that will make Gaz MC, like a hungry hippo, try and close him down. Vence will be fortunate to grab a DRS, and I think quite a few cars. AJ Sinden has wing damage. Strugs has wing damage, so I think that's what maybe is causing Strugs to fall back so dramatically here. So when he goes to pits, he'll have to pit because he's picked up just a small amount of wing damage, has Strugs, and that is going to be compromising him massively. But he does decide to stay out. He's maybe going to hope and goal hang for a safety car, hoping that a safety car can save his blushes. And with all this frenetic activity going on behind OS Degrees, it's certainly something that could happen. OS Degrees looks to have a bit of a gap to Temp, so won't be able to go for an overtake, and the cars behind him can't, but Temp absolutely sends it in from nowhere, misses the corner, and we'll try and give the place back just to OS Degrees, but it's going to be hard. He lets the AGS Inden through, and there may have been a bit of scraping there. AGS Inden, who's currently carrying a little bit of front wing damage, one of 2 cars who are reported to have front wing damage, is going to be difficult here. OS Degrees now has his teammate behind to do a bit of blocking, so it's a good position here for the Ferrari team as things stand at the moment. And let's see how this carries on over the next few laps. Where else? Gaz MC's right behind Fence. Fence made a little bit of contact with the inside of turn 15 and 16 last lap, just around here last time, and it's such a tricky corner to get right. Oh, I think he scrapes the wall just a little bit again, does Fence. So many cars in DRS range. It's absolutely crazy activity with the 3 cars way out in front, but Strugs will recognise that if the gap is building, then he is happy. And he'll just try to keep those softs alive. Race management is Strugs' game, and who knows, Strugs could still come out with the win in this race. Don't think it unlikely. Fence looking like he's going to go for an overtake on Temp, using a bit of ERS to do so. Temp will try to hang on up the inside of turn 27. Vakes very late, does Fence. That will compromise his exit, but he'll have better traction on the outside, and he does get the job done. All the cars will have DRS, and it's AGS Inden who'll be a bit down on his teammate, but he won't want to go and attack his Ferrari teammate. He's quite happy with this little buffer zone that he is creating. Captain Coolwine and Alpha Integral are battling, and Alpha Integral looks to have gone up the inside at turn 1. That becomes the outside of turn 2. Who will have a better drive on the run into turn 3? It is Alpha Integral who falls behind Captain Coolwine and does maintain position from Giri on tour. This is some really high level racing so far in this opening 12 laps of the SRL-100 Division 1, and you can see the pace so evenly matched really from 4th downwards. You can see there's a bit of a golfing class with the top 3, but actually Rain F1 has slowly managed to catch up with Simpendal at the front of this Grand Prix, and will have DRS, but Simpendal putting on a good show and backing himself to high heaven. He's been absolutely stalwart in the casual lobbies recently, putting in lap after lap after lap, and he's got some supreme pace around Jeddah, and clearly putting into practice, wanting to have a good fist of this championship. And of course, a win here would be the perfect way to start it. Keji's just got past Chonk in the backfield, but we'll keep an eye out on Rain here, who is now right on the back of Simpendal, who would also dearly like to get back to some of this race. And remember, Rain has pitted from the lead, the second place in the race earlier on, and Simpendal gets a much better drive out of turn 27, and I just think maintains that lead nicely. Actually, fastest lap of the Grand Prix goes to Rain lap time out, and it was 7/10 faster than Simpendal fast last time round. 7 times faster was Rain. So OS Degrees and AJS Inden are battling away, and let's have a look. Temp is trying to fight. Gaz MC is holding off Alpha Integral. It's just a toe-to-toe train. Fence maybe looking for a move up the inside of AJS Inden. There's certainly no room to be had there in the end. Rain, meanwhile, coming to the end of Sector 1. So the traditional hard-placed overtake is over, and Simpendal will have a real job keeping Rain behind for another lap, but I know he'll try it. Rain F1 has barely used a smidgen of EOS. This is disastrous stuff for the league's chances in terms of having fair and open races through the season. But Rain F1 is absolutely smashing it apart here, and he's going to be so fast here because he's barely using EOS. But in fairness, Simpendal has charged quite a lot of EOS to defend here, but it will be cancelled out, and of course the DOS will be belonging to Rain, who gets by with so much overspeed. It's ludicrous the speed he has there. The times he's got is a 328 is the fastest he's gone. The only cover car to go at that similar kind of speed is Alpha Integral. He's gone to 329 kilometers an hour. Simpendal does go back by with the DRS into turn 1. So these two are battling. Rain will have to think a bit more tactically there in the future. Gaz MC and Alpha Integral are battling in the back, and there's a big contact for his Tango. He loses a front wing. No, not in Tango. It was Keji, who had a big moment at the back. I didn't quite manage to catch that, but he's got to do a whole lap without a front wing because he's missed a turn-in for the pits as well, and that was disastrous. Just caught that right at the back. There was a huge shunt out of turn 27. I don't know if he just got a little bit sloppy on traction, but that will be very difficult for Keji, who will have to pit again, and he only pitted 6 laps ago onto that pair of medium tyre after starting the race on softs, and it will be disastrous for him. Is there anyone else with damage around him? I don't think there is, so it's tricky. AJS Inden still just keeping that nice buffer to OS Degrees ahead, and dead in the pool. Switching places with Gaz MC there, you'd have to think that was somewhat coordinated, so Dead in the Pool didn't get held up on those medium tyres, so being fasted. Simpendal is still in the leader's race, and as they go through turns 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27, Simpendal has a 5/10 gap. This will come down and down with DRS, and Simpendal will find this very hard to defend from. Look how little EOS Rain is using. I think Rain is just trying to keep his chances alive, but Simpendal also not using too much EOS either, so both cars just waiting to use EOS to pounce on one another. Maybe Rain wants to make sure he can break that toe as soon as he gets past Simpendal, and it's Struggs who's gone into the pits. So out of third position, Struggs goes into the pits, and let's keep an eye out. He's only just passed for the cars behind, and he tried to hang out for a safety car, and it seems like a decent time, a 2 second 24 pit lane time for Struggs, who will drop down all the way into 13th position and gets out just in front of Matusas. He does. So he'll hope for some clean lap running and no safety cars to come up. Only just the one safety car at the start. Keji has gone onto the hards and will be desperately hoping for a safety car because he's in absolute no man's land. Meanwhile, Simpendal is in first position, still defending from Rain, so some good defence massive work from the Alpine driver. And as he attacks on, it could be an Alpine who takes the win today. It could be the Alfa Romeo who takes the win today. And it'll be the first time an Alfa Romeo has won in the SRL-100 before. And that would be a turn up for the books for the Alfa Romeo team. But of course, the Alpines got 2 victory last time out with Matusas and Joker, both drivers elsewhere this season. Rain goes for the overtake into turn 27. That will give Simpendal the DRS out of 27 and on the run into turn 1. And let's see, he'll have a much better drive. He just has a great drive out the final corner and he gets the job done. And I don't think Rain is particularly fighting it. Having said that, he just doesn't. I think Rain is trying to toy with Simp here, and like a cat playing around with a mouse, he's trying to just play around with him. But I don't think you realise that the mouse is not a mouse, and it's actually a rat with fangs, who can definitely bite back. Simpendal is looking every part worthy of leading this race as Rain at this point in time, because he is charging his ERS massively, and he's gone from 60 to 80% while having this battle, so he's charged 20% over the last few laps. Let's see if Rain will start to pull the trigger and get going with this one, but it is interesting at the top. OS Degrees is 18 seconds back. Simpendal and Rain nearly have a whole pit stop gap to the cars behind, roughly a 24-second time loss at the pits here. Dendenpool has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Let's have a look at the penalties as we come to lap 16 of the race. It's Dendenpool, Girion and Keji who have 3 seconds worth of penalties. Keji, of course, picked up those seconds of penalties within the opening few laps of the race. So disastrous for him, but he's been able to keep it clean and serene since. Now Rain is closing and closing and closing, and I think Simpendal is very happy to let him have the DRS into turn 27, because into turn 1 he'll grab the DRS and try and get that place back. And Simpendal has the DRS, and these two are just... It feels like they're working together quite nicely to build a gap, to be honest. Maybe they are, cooperating here, just knowing that they can just DRS train off each other, and as long as they both have good pace, they can steadily extend that gap. And Rain is blocking his tyres. I don't know what that means. Is blocking his tyres. What does that mean, Vince? Tell me what that means. I have no idea. In the last corner, he's locking his tyres. Yeah. So he will be having a little bit of a lockup, but basically anyone with ABS off, which Rain does run, is it basically most of the time looks like a lot of smoke is coming out of it. Yeah, it's. I don't think he's locking up too much. I think the game is making a meal out of representing how much he's locking up. The gap is extended to 19 seconds. That'll be a full 20 seconds for Simpendal, 2 OS Degrees. And Fence has actually got past AGS Inden while focusing on the battle at the front. So it is a Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Ferrari, sorry, in the top 5 with the Red Bull of Alpha Integral behind his old teammate AGS Inden, who Alpha Integral has fought back here after being smashed at the back of the field at the end of the first lap, and he has fought back here with aplomb to get back into 6th position, and he'll go and try and attack his teammate, who is just starting to fall out of DRS range, and he's carrying a little bit of damage from the earlier stages of the race. Simpendal gets back Rain into turn 1, and there's a sector 3. There's a crash at sector 3. It's Chonk who's in the wall, and we have a safety. No, we don't have a safety car. It's just a wing on track. We don't have a safety car, but you've seen safety cars for less in the SRL-100. He will have to pit. That will give 15th place to Keji, who will get by. But Chonk making a bit of a mistake through turn 22 there. Alpha Integral has got past AGS Inden, and then the pool will be under pressure from Temp here for 8th position. Temp and then the pool running well in the points at this stage in the race. Let's have a quick look down the field. Struggs is in 11th, so he's casually starting to pick back through the gap, the pack even, after pitting 3 laps ago for a pair of medium tyres. Did 15 laps on the softs, which was quite remarkable really for that soft tyre to go on. And Chonk says his car does not feel nice. I'm sliding all over the place. Well, that isn't That isn't what you want, is it, Chonk? That is not what you want. So down in 16th position, and Chonk not having the pace over the course of this weekend. Obviously a controller player, and it is a big disadvantage to race on controller at this track. But of course, Vane, and is it Simpendal? Is Simpendal on controller? I'm sure NL Vince will be able to tell me if Simpendal is on controller. As they head towards turn 1. I don't think Vane has been close enough that time around to attack, and Simpendal has used up a bit of ERS to defend even. So so NL Vince is on wheel. No, NL Vince. Simpendal is on wheel. Simp's on the ledger cake. Okay, so Simpendal, Vane doing very well on the controller. So is Fence on the controller, to be honest. And Fence actually going for an overtake on OS Degrees and not leaving much room for OS Degrees on the outside there. But I think him left him just enough. If I know OS Degrees, he'll be a little bit fuming with the lack of space left for manoeuvring there. But it was just about fine within the laws of the game. And Fence is now up into third position. After using a fair chunk of ERS to do so, but he's 21 seconds behind his teammate. But it's Alfa Romeo 2 and 3 on the grid at this point in time, and Rain is looking very much poised to maybe have another attempt at overtaking Simpendal. Not into 22, he'll get very, very close, but the gap is about a tenth and a half as they go through 22, 3 and 4. The left-hander of 25 and 6 coming up. And as they come through 26, he'll go around the outside of Simpendal. Simpendal hugs the inside to keep the shortest line for himself. And Simpendal loses first position, but the last few laps have been dominated by Simpendal coming straight back at him. And before the start-finish line even hits, it wasn't quite. Simpendal is back into first position and retakes the racing line and is back up to first. So that is very much the story as it was. Now OS Degrees will look to get that place back on Fence. A better drive out of the final turn of the corner for Fence. This is going to be a long way back for OS Degrees if he is going to attack into turn 1, and we start to think about pit stops soon. And Simpendal potentially going to pit soon is what we're hearing from NL Vince, and be interesting to see how he does through the pit stop phase. With OS Degrees in 4th position and Alpha Integral in 5th. We're on lap 20. We've only had one safety car. That is superb racing from the field. A lot of time and practice has gone into Jeddah, and 8th position is where Tempkalize struggles in 9th. He's carving his way back up through the field, and OS Degrees has got by Fence on the exit of turn 12. So Fence making a mistake through that first sector, and he is going to be he's going to be fighting back, I'm sure, through the next zones. And Fence, who's already skirted his luck on that inside corner there, will be looking to get another podium position under his belt if he can get by OS Degrees. Of course, OS Degrees, who didn't start off well on F122 in Season 2, slowly came back into it, especially after the update changed the handling of the cars. OS Degrees one of the ones who caught up with it, and Simpendal goes into the pits. So as expected from NL Vince, Simpendal has gone into the pits from the lead of the race. The gap was about 23.3 seconds back, and that may be just enough to hold off and maintain position. Fence and OS Degrees are absolutely battling. It will be a battle on the exit of Pinks. I think Simpendal will get out in second position comfortably, so we'll watch that gap, and it's a huge 3 wide into turn 1. No, OS Degrees thinks better of it, and Alpha Integral actually tries to go for 2 positions in 1, and I don't know if there was quite enough space from there, but he manages to collect it up just about. But OS Degrees will help himself to that, and he tried to go 2 wide through 4, and it's borderline whether Alpha Integral kept on the racing track there. You'd have to go back and watch that one again. I don't know if Alpha Integral kept his car within the white line there, so OS Degrees may be looking at that one with a fine tooth comb at the end, and OS Degrees getting a bit wayward through that part of the track, and falling backwards is the Ferrari driver down into 7th position behind his teammate AJ Sinden. He lets AJ Sinden and Denon pull by. The gap at the front is 18 seconds. Simpendal has got onto the hard tyre and has got in front in 16th position. So it's only about an 18-second pit loss between in the pits. I'd written it down as 23, so I'd got that really wrong. But Denon Pool is is under pressure here from OS Degrees. OS Degrees trying to go through that. I think he just thinks better of it. Then the Pool hits the inside wall, a bit unsettled out of there. That will give OS Degrees the drive out of turn 22 and 23 and 24, and OS Degrees back up in 6th position. Alpha Integral has fought his way back into 4th here, and I don't know whether he was owed more room or whether he was going into a closing gap at turns 2. I'm sure that will be looked at. But Alpha Integral will be looking to attack fence, and OS Degrees will look to get past his teammate. I'm sure he won't attack too much, but actually the inside line is being covered nicely by Den the Pool, and AJS Indian just opens up that gap, and it's 3 wide, 3, 1, 2 and 3, and so tricky. The Haas of Gaz MC wants to get involved. That higher tyres must be coming back to him, and it looks like Den the Pool may be able to squeeze past AJS Indian as well. There he does. AJS Indian gets turfed out onto the exit of turns 4 and 5. That means he goes backwards. If you don't go forward, you go backwards in motorsport, and that is a clear example. AJS Indian falling all the way down the path as it's a single line throughout all of there, and that's the difficulty. If someone goes for an overtake in turn 4, it's better just to back off and give them the position, because going offline is not what you want and so difficult to do. He loses a handful of positions, and it's the Haas who switched the cars on the exit of turns 13, and it's Gaz MC who's being allowed to go and race on because those hard tyres will be better than the medium cars being on ahead. OS Degrees has lost touch with Alpha Integral and Fence for 3rd and 4th position, so currently battling for 5th. OS Degrees will keep his eye on the prize though and hope a safety car is potentially coming his way. At the back of the field, Chonk is 21 seconds adrift of Keji, who's 9 seconds adrift of Temp. Struggs is not too far away from this battle either, and he'll be wanting to go and start ripping it up at the front of this grid. Simpendal sets fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Temp gets a 3-second penalty, and Struggs will try for a move on Den the Pool, but Den the Pool will have DRS in front, so it'll take a big ERS burn to do so. Den the Pool suffering with the lack of ERS at this stage of the race. Up the inside, Struggs goes, only leaves him just as much room. Is he going to get 2 Hasses in one straight? He does! An absolute overspeed into there, and it's 2 Hasses, 1 straight for the Aston Martin. Doesn't just keep it in, a little bit tardy on the exit, and he'll try and keep the inside line of 4, and he's entitled to the space. They tried to go too wide through there. It's not quite possible. It's really, really difficult, and it's single lane traffic, 2-lane traffic into a single lane, and they just about managed to filter through, but they lose a bag of time to OS Degrees, a second and a half to OS Degrees just in front. Struggs, who looked like he got a bit too greedy down the straight, taking 2 bites of the cherry at once, and ends up regurgitating one of those certainly through the first sector. Gaz MC said, no way man, I'm not having that, and he battles back. The Scottish winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix 2 races ago does well. Keji picks up another time penalty, and it's actually worth having a look at the penalties up and down the grid at this stage, because it is 3 seconds for Den the Pool and 3 seconds for Struggs, 3 seconds for Geary on tour. Temp has 8 seconds worth of penalty, so must have a 5-second penalty for speeding in a pit lane or some such. AJS Indian has a 3-second penalty, who's fallen down the order and actually has probably pitted for a fresh set of tyres, so missing that in the flurry. So AJS Indian has pitted for a fresh set of tyres and still has front wing damage apparently, but I just don't think that's correct, to be honest. I just don't think that's updated correctly. Keji is going for a move on AJS Indian for 14th and 15th position. There's fighting up the field. Gaz MC will try to go for a move on Struggs, and he'll close down, but I don't think he'll have the pace to do it. Matusas has got by Captain Coolwine as he's come to the pits. Captain Coolwine has come to the pits. So Keji will look for a move on AGS Indian on these older hard tyres. And let's switch back to the tyre view. 8-lap old hard tyres versus 0-lap old mediums. I think AGS Indian will start to pull away there because those fresher tyres will have a grip advantage. Captain Coolwine falls down into 15th position. And it's Struggs who is up to 6th. He has got by Dead and Gaz. Gaz has been passed by Struggs. So Struggs is now looking to battle with OS Degrees, and I think he's done a bit more battling than he would have hoped to do. I think he hoped maybe that he could have pitted under safety cars and conditions to get rid of those softs, but it didn't come. Some very smart racing, and fuel-wise, I don't know. I don't know what's going on fuel-wise. I couldn't tell you. But of course we had that safety car at the start of the race, and we have a safety car now. We have a safety car because Keji is out of the race. As I look down, they're not sure what's quite happening, but this midfield battle is quite exciting. It is absolutely exciting, but the safety car is out, and we'll see who goes to the pits. Cars who've just pitted have lost out massively because, of course, it is quicker to pit under safety car conditions because every car has to pit to a delta, and Simpendal does resume the lead of the race, does he? Oh, it's going to be tight on the exit. Simpendal doesn't quite resume the lead of the race, and Rain F1 can have another set of mediums to the end here. That's big for Rain to get out ahead. That is big for Rain, because he is on a pair of mediums. He's on the faster tyre. He started on the hards, ditched them right at the start of this race, and has done a hard medium strategy. Who else is pitting? Fence is pitting, Gaz MC pitting, Struggs also deciding to pit. So Struggs will be one of the cars who will be... Oh, he's got wing damage, has he, Struggs? So Struggs having to fix a little bit of wing damage, has lost out on some places that he may have gained, but does manage to scoot back up into 11th position all in all, but not great from Struggs there. Matusas manages to get into 10th. Captain Coolwine and AJ don't probably lose as much as they thought they had because cars had to stop for wing changes. Gaz MC in 7th, OS Degrees in 6th, Alpha Integral in 5th, Temp in 4th position. So a good strategy from Temp, leapfrogging in past the cars ahead, and Fent is in 3rd. It's Keji who's out of the race, who was my pre-race favourite to maybe pick up the win, but not sharing the success he maybe had hoped, and had switched to wheel and still running no assists on the wheel, which is quite admirable to be honest, and decent from Keji. I'm sure he'll be absolutely gutted to be out of the race, but we have Spain this time next week to refocus on, and Imola the week after. So, as things stand, it is Rain F1 who is out in front on a set of medium tyres. He's run hard, medium in this race, and Chonk said he's just broke his wing, so he's going in for the pits. So he's going to be nearly a whole lap down, and he's going to have to get a shuffle on to get back to the pack here, because we've already had a lap of safety car, and it won't stay out forever, so we'll have to get a bit of a shuffle on to close down the pack, and we could have 2 laps of safety car running at the end. Now, if you're watching along, a reminder that we will have post-race interviews in the Discord. The staging channel is under the broadcast category, so join that at the end of the race and have a chance to share your view of the race. And Bait Kush is enjoying this race. Thank you very much, Bait. Drop us a follow so you can enjoy more action. And if you're not part of the Discord, or you are part of the Discord, I'm not quite up to all the names yet, but if you're part of Discord, there are links just down below. discord.gg/Syndicate Racing will get you into our Discord. We have seats open in Division 1 and Division 2. Of course, you have to go through the clean driver vetting process, and that's so we can keep the quality of racing high. Thank you very much for the follow, Bait. I really appreciate that one. And Matusa says he's got a penalty because the guy in front of me parked on pit entry, and to dodge him, I went over the line. Yeah, that's frustrating, and it's also probably protestable. So at the end of the race, there is a instant clip review channel for Division 1. Get that posted in there. If you haven't served the penalty in the race, then you should be able to get that removed as long as you post the instance itself, the race director's instance tab, and the race director's pit stops tab. I will try to capture that on the stream. Not always possible, but yeah, we'll clip the penalty as well. Thank you very much, Matusas. And that's how you follow that process for Division 1 and Division 2. No change in process between the 2 divisions. We try to keep it as fair as possible, 100% racing in the Syndicate Racing Discord. And yes, hope everyone is enjoying the race. This is the second safety car period, so a good amount. I tell you what, I've seen 25% races with about 3 times as many safety cars, and we would have gone past lap 25 and not had that second safety car, so it was sort of a 50% race. So good racing from the pack here. Shows that they've put in a lot of practice. Chonk isn't blaming his controller as well, which is certainly something, and is a turn up for the books. I think this will be the final lap of safety car, so we'll have one more after this one. The safety car will cross the line, and it's Bert keeping the front spot warm for Rain, who will finally, I think, be able to pull away from Simpendal on those hard tyres. I wonder what kind of pressure Fence can go put on Simp. And let's just see what goes on in this race. Temp is in 4th possession. 5th is Alpha Integral. OS Degrees in 6th. Gaz MC in 7th. 8th is AGS Inden. Captain Coolwine 9th. Matusas 10th. Strugs is 11th. Denderpool 12th. 13th is Girion Tor. 14th is Blood Bump. And 15th is Chonk. If we have any pit lane reporters from the Division 2 race, I'd absolutely love to know what the Division 2 race is looking like at this moment in time. Of course, we have 2 divisions of racing on Syndicate Racing, both being on at the same time, and I don't have a view into the Division 2 race today, and hopefully going forward I'll be able to have a quick peek going forward, but didn't have managed to have time to set up that view of the other race. And yes, hopefully, yeah, I mean, at least there's been no rain, right? Which sounds ridiculous, but it does rain at Jeddah. It's a coastal. Don't forget to hydrate. Thank you very much. I've got a big bottle of Mountain Dew here, so I will hydrate. Yeah, maybe I'll just shut up for a second and take your suggestion of hydration. And I do have some water here as well. I'm not just drinking Mountain Dew. Or maybe I am. You're not my mum. So we have half the race distance to go. The safety car will come in at the end of this lap. We'll get the message. It's just a matter of moments. Rain in the lead of the race. As we exit here, this is where the final sector begins. And we'll get the message and the car will pull away. There we are. As predicted, and we'll keep an eye out on Rain and make sure it's a nice, clear, consistent pace that he's setting. And he's not going speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and slowing down too dramatically is the thing, because that can cause disaster effects to the cars behind. We're 27 laps in, and we've got 15 of the 16 runners left in the race, showing some superb quality from the drivers, and everyone desperate to get their hands on the Syndicate Racing trophy at the end of the season. But it's a long way to go, 9 races to go, and Rain F1 drops the throttle, and it's actually Simpendal who's going to put a bit of pressure on, but Fence behind also thinking of a move maybe. Simpendal will look to the inside of Rain but won't be close enough, and Fence is going to try and go around the outside at turn 1, and he does manage to do it, and actually Simpendal could be losing a place to Tempe as well. No, Tempe thinks better of it. Simpendal looking for a move on Fence, left himself open to looking for a move on Rain, left himself open to attack on Fence, and further down the field there's movement in the cars, as I think Alpha Integral has maybe just got OS Degrees there, and Gaz MC, AJS, and then let's see, Strugs is down 11th position. I don't think there's been too much movement, having said that. So it's Fence now a 10th behind, a second behind his teammate, already falling a second behind, and it's 1-2 for the Alfa Romeo team as it stands. A long way to go. Simpendal will be looking for the long game, knowing that those medium runners' tyres will start to go off. A little bit unfortunate with when he pit, because it meant that he had to switch onto the medium tyre. I mean, it meant that the other cars could switch onto the mediums and not lose as much time through the pit stops. So Simpendal will try to get by Fence here, but this is damaging to his race, and actually Rain can thank Fence a lot here, because it's meant that Simpendal hasn't been able to cling on to the entrails of Rain here, and Rain is going to be able to break the DRS of the cars behind. Simpendal, let's see how hard he pushes into turn 1 on those hard tyres. It's a lot of medium runners behind, and Simpendal could be moving further and further down actually in this early part of this stint, because he's started on the medium tyre, and the other cars seemingly have got through their pit stop window. And let's see if Simpendal can hold off the cars behind. If he can on those hard tyres, it would be indicative of the pace that he has. And Rain is absolutely gapping Fence, as you'd expect, but Fence doing a valiant job here, has fought through the field a couple of times and got by the cars, and good strategy has got him through. Go Simpendal, says Elephants in the comments, and Chonk is down in 15th on the back of Blubberbump, who's not having an absolute stormer of a SRL-100 race, maybe feeling a little bit down on his luck. Of course, a controller player and finding it quite difficult around Jeddah. Will expect him to have better results through the season. Matusas running in the top 10, 10th position for him. Alpha Integral in 5th. Struggs, our reigning champion, down in 9th position. And Vince says, to be honest, it was an awesome move of Fence on Simp, clean overtake, and yeah, you can agree with that. He got the move done. It was very opportunistic into turn 1, but the gap has extended to 2 seconds already. Simpendale just buying his time and sitting in the DRS range of the car ahead, hoping to be able to go forward attack in a lap or two's time and not lose too much time from Rain M1. Of course, battling with Fence would make him cost his ERS usage, which is absolutely vital when defending from cars behind, and it would also cost him time to rein ahead. So actually thinking very smart is the Dutch driver in the Alpine. Another Dutch driver in the Alpine. We always have Dutch drivers in the Alpine. We had Joker in Season 1 and Season 2, and now we've got Simpendal in Season 3 in the Alpine car. OS Degrees in 6th position, and it's only 2 tenths behind Alpha Integra, so looking to put the pressure on his fellow North American US driver. So let's see how he can do it. The Scottish driver Gaz MC in 7th position at the moment would like to get involved. AJ Sindens picks up another time penalty, and let's have a quick look at the penalties as it stands. Temp has 8 seconds worth of penalties. He didn't pit just then. I think he got 5 seconds for speeding under the pit lane conditions, and I wonder if there's a late safety car, you can definitely expect Temp to maybe pit onto a pair of softs, and just getting a little bit tardy through turn 16 there. That compromises his exit. He will have DRS, so he'll be able to close down a little bit, but Simpendal, who's right on the back of Fence here, is closing and closing. Fence maybe closes down the gap a little bit needlessly into turn 22. That puts him offline through the corner and loses even more time, and it'll be Simpendal who will go for an overtake. He's practiced this move on his teammate over and over again, but Fence using a little bit of ERS and a good bit of straight line speed to close that one down, and Fence running very well here. I think Simpendal doesn't want to attack out the final corner. It'll be this corner that Simpendal wants to attack down and into the first corner, because then he could maybe extend through the first sector. And he closes. Fence goes defensive, so it'll be around the outside for the LP driver. If he's going to get it done, they go too wide through 1 and 2. They just about leave each other enough room, the two drivers, and it will be a better drive out of turns 3 and the racing line for Fence. Simpendal recognises that and lets Fence slot back in front, knowing how disastrous it would be to go too wide through a single lane sector that is the turns 4 onwards to turns 12. Very, very difficult, and good defensive move from Fence. Alpha Integral trying to put the pressure on the cars ahead, and DeSago's now saying there's a massive crash now in Div 2. Who is in the lead in Division 2? That is what I want to know. And 2 drivers are out. How many drivers are total out, DeSago? Let me know. And Alpha Integra clips the inside, and that will give OS Degrees a big bit of overspeed coming out of 16 and 17. It's NL Chris and Hyperstiger, so Alex Mark, who are the 2 drivers who are out, and there's 60 NFs in total in Division 2, so not quite the clean race that Division 1 is, but you can probably expect some of that. And who is in the race lead? DeSago, as Simpendal goes for an overtake on Fence, and he gets it done before turn 27, recognising it may be quite difficult to do, so he burns a bit of ERS, but now he'll have to defend from Fence on the long run down to turn 1. He immediately jinks to the left-hand side to try and cut off the slipstream. Fence follows, and actually Simpendal extends the gap a little bit. I don't think Fence is going to be able to retaliate down into turn 1. Now this is all about Simpendal. Can he extend the gap to Fence? Can he break that DRS? Can he maintain the gap to the car in front and wait for Rain's tyres to go off? Or does the Alfa Romeo of Rain simply have too much pace to be caught here? We'll see as we go through the paces. Temp in 4th position, and is just kind of watching it unfold in front of him. And Alpha Integral, who's been a little bit untidy since that sector, then very difficult. And it's Emmy, Rainbow and Ben, so the 2 Red Bulls of Captain Rainbow Fox and Ben in the top 3, and Emmy leading on his return to racing. And there's a safety car in Division 2. Just a little update for people listening along. We have 2 divisions of racing, and it's OS Degrees Gaz MC who is in 6th position at the moment. Closing down is Strugs behind him, only 4 tenths behind Gaz MC. Look, the top 6, none of the top 6 have got a penalty. OS Degrees picks up a penalty. I was about to say OS Degrees is like so good at not picking up penalties as he picks up a penalty, but Strugs will now go for a move on Gaz MC, gets the job done before turns 27, and clearly having a lot more straight line speed. Strugs showing that he's really learnt that wheel quickly and got towards the top end tier pace of Division 1 already, and Strugs will be hoping for a top 5 here, and this will get him into the top 5 positions. 2 positions in 2 corners for the Aston Martin driver, the reigning champions from the Williams team last time out. Both him and his teammate moved over. Fade not here today because he watched England cruise past Senegal in their round of 16 knockout tie, and it is Alpha Integral who will be next up for Strugs, the old adversaries from season 2, as Blubberbump gets by Chonk in the backfield, and it is close behind. Chonk desperately going to try and come back at Blubberbump through Sector 1. I think Blubberbump will be enjoying his battle with Chonk nonetheless. He's a good racer, Blubberbump, but he'll maybe a bit disappointed it's not for points at this time. I said beforehand that it was probably a case of surviving to the end, and everyone has took that with absolute detail and took that to their hearts, because it's everyone surviving to the end, barring the Red Bull of Keji. But Alpha Integral is flying the Red Bull flag high in 4th position at the moment. It's Strugs who will be closing down behind. Let's see if he can do that gap. Simpendal has managed to keep that gap very, very similar, to be honest. So that is good pace from Simpendal. And last time out, it was a 132.110 for Simpendal and a 131.844 for Rain. So as they go over the lap this time, let's see. That's the fastest. I don't know why I'm saying that. That's the fastest. A 132.1 for Rain last time out, and a 132.410 for Simpendal. So the gap maybe just extended a little bit over that lap, but he's keeping the pace steady and consistent. And Rain, to be honest, hasn't used much of his ERS. He's used next to none of it to keep the fight alive, and you'd save that for a rainy day. So Alpha Integral in 4th. It is Gaz MC, who's right on the back of OS Degrees and looking out for that position. AGS Inden is in the final points paying position, down in 10th position. He's only got 4 tenths of the gap to Captain Coolwine behind, so that could be a battle going on there. And into turns 13 they go. Gaz MC going to be fighting all the way to the end, and let's see. The thing is, Gaz MC kind of needs to get ahead, because if he can stay with Strugs Gaz MC, he's got no penalty above his name, whereas OS Degrees does, so he'd get that place either way, and OS Degrees will battle for every little position on track, but I think he'll have to concede there. Opportunities move out of 16, but Gaz MC doesn't have much ERS, and he'll be out of DRS at 2.2 seconds behind Strugs, so you can see OS Degrees going straight back by the driver. Gaz MC's wearing a fish helmet too. Wow, it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. OS Degrees is going to try and go around the outside of Gaz MC. Gaz MC will show him the door on that one, but it will be another attempt down into turn 1. The Ferrari driver is closing down on the Haas, and he'll go around the outside, and they'll have this move done before turn 1. Job done. Moving on to the next lap. It is lap 35. We have 15 laps left of this first round of Season 3 of the Syndicate Racing League. It's the SRL-100 Division 1. The first time we've run multiple divisions of the SRL-100 due to popular demand. Desago reporting that the safety car is in this lap for Division 2. Thank you very much. Our pit lane reporter, Desago, there. Appreciate your work there. Maybe a disappointing result to crash out so early, but he's giving us some updates, and it's Emmy who's pitted down to 7th, and he's down to 8th position, and it's the currently Fox, Ben, Sol, Kenneth, and Skull in the top 6 positions in that league. We'll see what comes out of that race, but I'll be sure to look back through the onboards of the drivers, and it's Rain F1 who's currently leading by 4.3 seconds, extending gap to Simpendal last time out by 4 tenths of a second. Fence is also falling behind Simpendal falling off the pace a little bit and actually under a bit of a pressure from Alpha Integral, who's used a lot of EOS to close that gap and maybe look for a move into turn 27. He gets so close to the back end of Fence and knows just about when to pull out of an attack there. But now he'll have another go into turn 1 as they come flying past the pit lane, and it will be a move to the outside, to the inside. Which way will Fence defend? Fence defends just about in the middle. He puts some nose up the inside. I don't think that was quite on. He just about gets it slowed down. And meanwhile, this brings Struggs slowly into it. And Struggs is absolutely on it with race pace here, and he could still have a chance at picking up third positions. He ran very well in the early stages of the races. 15 laps on a pair of the soft compound tyres, and Struggs, who is on the medium tyre, will desperately want to get by these cars quickly and build up a gap because he has a 3-second penalty. The cars in front don't. So he'll want to get by and build the gap. And Desaga just mulling over some of the problems he had in his race. Disappointed for a bad start of the season, but 8 races to go. Absolutely. Put it behind you. And the whole complexion of the standings could change race by race. It's all about consistency. And if you finish the next 8 races, then you'll firmly forget about Jeddah at the start of the season. Rain has extended his gap to 5.5 seconds over Simpendal, who's extending his gap to Fence. And Fence, under pressure now from Alpha Integral, will desperately try to keep him behind, but it could be Struggs who comes by these two on this lap. Struggs, absolute confidence on the brakes into turn 27, has a decent exit too, and Alpha Integral will go for a move on Fence here. He's quite a far bit back. Good traction out of it, and Struggs is actually closer to Alpha Integral here. It's the DRS which is helping Alpha Integral defend from Struggs here, but Struggs not getting by as quickly as he might have hoped. Let's switch back to the tyre view. 12 lap old mediums for all of these cars running for this battle for third position. OS Degrees managing to keep Gaz MC behind. Gaz MC will be okay with where he is because he has lost that 3 seconds to Struggs, which is disappointing because he'll lose that position at the end of the race. But he'll have, if he doesn't pick up any penalties towards the end, he will leapfrog OS Degrees and go into 6th position here, which Gaz MC, I'm sure, would be happy with. Blubberbump and Chonk having a right old ding-dong for 13th and 14th position. This is not the first time I've seen him go too wide through this section. Blubberbump will just about hang around the outside. No, Chonk will come back through this very difficult sector, and they just about leave each other enough room. I think they're just having a bit of fun with each other, knowing that the pace of the race maybe isn't quite on and trying to make the best out of a bad afternoon. Dead in the Fool has pulled down to 15th position, and that'll be disappointing for him. He's just pitted, actually, so he must have made a mistake recently and has fallen down into 50th position. So he'll be disappointed to make a mistake because that puts him down in 15th with 13 to go. It'll be difficult. Struggs, meanwhile, has got past Alpha Integral into turn 27. So Struggs will now eye up the Alfa Romeo of Fence. It's fish on fish on fish. And let's see if Struggs has the pace here to go for another double overtake. And he goes down around the outside of turn 1 and doesn't leave an amazing amount of room on the apex of turn 1. Fence tries to fight back and has better drive out of the exit of turn 2 and 3 and absolutely smashed it. Emmy's out of contentions, 12 seconds of penalties. Seems he's going to be between Fox and Sol. So the Mercedes and Red Bull at battle in the Division 2. And in Division 1, it's Rain from 6.55 seconds ahead of Simpendal in the Alpine. Fence for third. The battle ongoing is third place. That is really up for grabs as it's Alpha from the Alpha of Fence, from the Aston of Struggs, from the Red Bull of Alpha Integral with 12 to go. It's anyone's game who can get there out of these top 3. They're absolutely fighting hammer and tongue with each other. Chunk picks up another time penalty. Blubberbump will know he can have a good old battle with Chunk and he'll be getting a free position even if he loses it. But Chunk running 19 lap old hards against 13 lap old mediums, and it is Alpha Integral who's nearly fallen out of DRS range of Struggs and will have to fight to keep in range. Struggs will be desperate to get by Fence this time around and then start to go and work on building that gap and get on to the third step of the podium. Down the inside of turn 27 he goes. He gets that move done. Does he have the pace to fight out of turn 27? It's actually Fence, who has a very good drive out of there and will have DRS as well. So Struggs using a bit of DRS to build the gap and defend from him. And now Struggs will try to fight through the first sector to build that gap to roughly a second to make sure that Fence has no chance of catching up with him. Sector 3, there's a yellow, and it's AGS Inden, who's maybe had a little bit of contact, and there's a safety car. Full safety car is out. AGS Inden goes into the pits, picked up front wing damage. Full front wing damage has the Ferrari of AGS Inden. And someone's got to be honest. Where has this fish thing come from? Who mentioned? Who's organised this? Because I want to find out. I don't care if this goes to the top. I will find out the corruption in this league. So AGS Inden's pitted. So has Temp. So has Chonk. So has Dead in the Pool. AGS onto a pair of softs. I expect nearly the whole field to go onto a pair of softs here. We know they'll go to the end. And yeah, so on the road, Kenneth wants it as well. No penalties for him. 10-lap medium versus 15-lap hards, respectively, between Fox and Sol. Yeah, it will be a battle to the end there. We have the third safety car of the afternoon in the SRL-100. Thank you very much for the follows, everyone. We've gone up 5 followers during the stream. And if you're enjoying it and you're not part of the Discord, please join the Syndicate Racing Discord. We have casual lobbies. I used to say most nights. Nearly all nights on days we'll have a casual lobby up there somewhere. Desperately trying to get more people from the Oceanic region, the Australian region, to have, casual lobbies all day long. Like a never-ending bender of casual lobbies is what my true vision is for the league. It's a bastion of clean racing, and this has been an absolute showcase of it. Some really stellar racing up and down the field, taking on Jeddah, which is such a difficult track. We still have 15 runners in, with 40 of the 50 laps complete, 4th of the race distance completed, and we have a few cars not opting to pit. So, interestingly enough, Fence didn't pit, Rain did, Alpha Integral didn't, Gaz didn't, Matusas didn't, Simpendal has done, but has gone for a pair of mediums. So that is interesting from Simpendal. He will lose outright speed for the first 5 laps, but he'll hope to come back at the runners around him, and we'll see if that pays off for Simpendal. Doing something a bit opposite to the cars around him. Girion also going on those mediums. He'll be under a bit of pressure on those opening laps, but I hope he'll have the pace to defend from that. And let's see if this pays off for Simpendal. Interesting, to say the least, and maybe a smart move. With 10 laps to go, it'll be probably about 9 or 8 laps to the end. And those softs will start to go off, and the top 5 are all within 6 seconds of each other in the SRL-100, in the Division 2, that is. But, of course, this is Division 1, and we have a safety car at this stage of the race. It's going to be interesting. I think Rain, realistically, this is Rain's to lose. He has to get past Fence, his teammate, for the lead of the race, and I think he'll do that. I think Fence will know not to slow down his teammate too much. Alpha Integral is on those 15-lap-old mediums, and top 5 are all within 3 seconds of each other. That's crazy in East Division 2. I wish I had a view of it, but I don't. Simpendal's also got to make his way through the pack. There's 15-lap-old mediums for Alpha Integral, Gaz MC, and Matusas. And for Alpha Integral, he may be able to hold on to that. Gaz MC and Matusas, the likelihoods become lighter and lighter and lighter. And I think it will all be about the restart for those cars to see who can come flying up the field. Everyone from 6th position below has pitted within the last 2 laps. It's Chonk on to a set of mediums, and how many laps is there to go in the SRL-100 Division 2, out of interest? I just want to know what the race distance is of that track. And yes, we'll see. So Struggs is in 7th, so Struggs is behind Simpendal, and Struggs is a quick driver. From the start, it's kind of very similar from the start. Simpendal had those mediums, was managed to keep ahead of Struggs. Of course, didn't have as much traffic in the way of him. Actually had no traffic, so was able to use the clear air to his advantage, Simpendal. And to lose. Might as well go on softs. Yep, you might as well go on softs. And I think you'll have the best chance of getting those softs to the ends out of anyone in the top. Struggs is on fresh softs. He's dangerous to simp. Absolutely, Vince. And I think it's a bit of a replay at the start of the race where Struggs also had a pair of softs at the start of the race, but didn't manage to close down on Simpendal. Now, those softs will be much, much nicer in these closing conditions, and it's fresh softs for medium as well. So for Simpendal, on fresh mediums for Simpendal, rather. OS Degree in 8th on softs. Captain Coolwine on softs. 10th is mediums of Geary. HS Inden on softs. So's Temp, so's Blubber, so's Dead, and so is Chunk. We'll have the safety car in this lap. Rain will be let loose very quickly here, I suspect, and we'll see the true pace of Rain at the end of this race. We have 15 runners left. Absolutely. It's going to be a frenetic end here, I sense. We've had such a lot of clean racing going on, and I think people waiting and waiting for other people to crash out and other safety cars to go their way. As the safety car lights switch off, we'll keep an eye on Fence and make sure it's one clear, concise return to racing. The two Alfa Romeo boys working well together, and let's see whether Fence can how quickly he gets out of the way of his teammate. It'll be interesting to see, because he obviously won't want to lose too much positions to the cars behind, or the cars that hasn't pitted for mediums. So we'll still be eyeing up a podium position, but he'll have to fight all the way to the end here. We'll have 9 laps of racing to go, and Fence drops it and leaves Rain a little bit in the lurch of Alpha Integral behind. Alpha Integral will maybe sense a move, doesn't want to use too much EOS and doesn't go for it. It's actually Simpendal who's under pressure from Struggs. Struggs is going to try and go too wide with Simpendal. There's no contact. Struggs is actually going to lose out a little bit to the Ferrari behind of OS Degrees. OS Degrees has to back out of it, and I don't think Struggs maybe recognised how close OS Degrees was. So OS Degrees tried to make it free into turn 2 and 3, but didn't quite manage, and it's as they were before the safety car restart. Simpendal right up behind Matusas, trying to put the pressure on. Will he attack the Portuguese driver into turn 13? They go. He'll look to the inside. I think he'll absolutely throw it in. He does. He managed to get it slowed down in time, and I think he'll have better traction, courtesy of that medium being a better tyre at this stage of the race, and up to 5th position goes Simpendal. Simpendal up to 5th. Next up is the Haas of Gaz MC. Alpha Integral pits up a 3-second penalty this late into the race. That could be disastrous for him, who will have to really work hard to keep onto that podium position now. Simpendal thinks about a move on Gaz MC. Gaz MC absolutely shows him the door. OS Degrees in the meanwhile gets by Matusas. Matusas is defending around the outside. Struggs is running all the way around the outside. It's a huge crash for Struggs. A huge crash through turns 22. That is another safety car. He ran really, really wide through 22. Tried to hang it all around the outside, and he is absolutely in bits there. A huge crash, and he will be so disappointed with that. Who would have thought it? Struggs and Keji are the only 2 cars out of the race. We have big damage for cars who were behind Struggs, so I think we'll see a number of cars go to the pits. But it is dramatic stuff right at the last there. So we have another safety car, the 4th safety car out here. Struggs trying to make move on those softs. It was all a bit last ditch around the outside. We'll have to see that again, but that was very, very dramatic. I saw him go off and go a little bit wide at turn 22. I think he tried to come back to the track too quickly, maybe lost it a little bit on traction, and made contact with the wall on the inside, losing his right wheel, and that was a huge moment. And this doesn't work great for Simpendal, because Simpendal was wanting those soft runners to absolutely use every bit of their softs and run to the last, but it does keep Simpendal within closer range of Rains, and those softs won't be at their peak performance anymore. So Simpendal absolutely has a chance at 1st position here. OS Degrees is in 6th, and let's have a quick look at the penalties. All the cars are together, so expect just a couple of laps of safety car here. Penalty wise, it's Alpha Integral with 3 seconds, OS Degrees with 3 seconds, 3 seconds from Matusas, Captain Corwin with 6 seconds, HS Inder with 9 seconds, High Money with 6 seconds, Gillian Tor in 10th, and Blowbump has worked himself up into 11th position here, so isn't far away actually. If things stood as they were, if they went over the line right now, I think Blubber Bump would finish 7th. So there's a safety car in Division 2 as well, so there's been a last-minute crash, and I think I said it was going to be frenetic, and it all becomes a little bit last-ditch at the end of the race, and every car is trying to make a move, and when every car makes a move, it starts to become a little bit more desperate, and we saw multiple cars going too wide into turn 22, and here's my opinion. When they ran Saudi Arabia in 2021, the run so look at the track map. The hairpin right at the top of the screen on the track map, turns 12 to 13, that's where the DRS zone was. And that is an overtaking opportunity into 13, and there's space enough to do it. Now, when they changed it to the 2022 format, they took away that DRS and moved the DRS to between turns 16 and 22. So there's 3 DRS in a row. But that first DRS is really just to close, and there isn't space for an overtake into that zone. But I think it lulls you into this sense of, oh, I've got to go for an overtake into here. And of course, there was no DRS in play at the time. But I think it has a negative effect on the field. And yeah, both divisions are a 100% race. We love 100% racing here. It's the SRL-100. Because of the 100% race, we did do the SRL-50 on Fridays, and never say never to a return to the SRL-50, but it became a bit of a secondary league to the 100. So he's decided to split SRL-100 into 2 divisions, as everyone wanted a bite at the SRL-100 cherry, and it allows us to have people enjoying a 100% race at the end of their day on a Sunday before the weekend hits on a Monday, and that's why we have the 2 100 races. But never say never to the 50 returning, and I'd quite like it to return at least in a bit of a casual format going forward. We'll see how this season settles in, but I'd quite like an SRL-50 format with maybe some open to new drivers, give people a chance to prove their worth in a league setting. That would be cool. And thought you couldn't be wheel to wheel before the first green flag. So, Chunk, we actually ditched that rule out of the... did we actually ditch that rule? I'm not sure if we ditched that rule, but we stopped applying it, certainly, at the end of the last season. But Simpendal will have his chance to wake his way through the field, because Rain is in first position here and has got past his teammate in that opening lap, and will be able to stretch his leg. So let's keep an eye out. So we actually changed that rule, Chonk, at the end of last season, and it may still be in the rules, but we just kind of we're still applying the rule at the end of last season, but as we return to racing, it's Rain and it's Fence who looks to go for a move on his teammate, so maybe not obeying team orders there, and trying to go around the outside, and it's Rain who is falling down into second position. A good restart from Fence there. That puts the pressure on from Alpha Integral, and Simpendal will be licking his lips at the thought that of Rain coming under pressure there, and looking for a move on Gaz MC. Maybe doesn't go for that move. Temp is up, and Dead and Paul are battling right at the back of the field as they come through section 4, turn 4, 5 and 6 in sector 1, and it's Dead and Paul who gets him past in front of Temp. Temp was running a lot higher in the race earlier on. I'd love to know what happened with him. He'll be disappointed with where he is finishing at the moment. Fence is in front of Rain at this stage of the race, so very, very interesting. Maybe there's softs going off. Alpha Integral are going too wide. Simpendal and Gaz MC going too wide. Gaz MC absolutely holding firm and holding his line. OS Degrees looking at what's going on in front of him on those softs. Simpendal has a lot better drive out of turn 16, and this is such a difficult area to run too wide. We saw the big collision from Struggs that brought out the previous safety car, and Gaz MC thinks better of it, knows what happened to Struggs, and just tucks behind. Alpha Integral runs wide out of 22, and that leaves a attack open to Simpendal. Both cars will try to burn the OS. Simpendal on those much, much fresher mediums will be sensing how close he is to Rain at the pinnacle and at the summit of this race. Simpendal absolutely still in the mix to win this Grand Prix. It's a better exit for Simpendal too, who forces his way onto the inside, and I think Alpha Integral just has a little bit of the benefit of the toe behind, and Alpha Integral now takes the inside line and comes it off. Simpendal Simpendal put it into a really narrow space, a little bit about breaking himself, I think, there, and just about gets it done. It's a great drive out of 2 and 3, and Alpha Integral may lose this position into 4. He'll try to hook the inside line, but that's not going to work. And now Simpendal has his teammate of Fence, has the Alfa Romeo Fence, who is a teammate of Rain just ahead. Fence needs to fight like a lion to allow Rain to go and win this race, and Rain pulls out a massive gap through the first sector. And wow, absolutely amazing. Strugs obviously frustrated with crashing out there. Let us know what happened to your power. It looked like a really high-speed collision, and Simpendal closing and closing and closing on Fence, and will look to get a move done as soon as possible, because he'll know that those soft tyres will start to get past their best. But Simpendal has used a fair bit of DRS fighting, ERS even, fighting through the pack already. The energy recovery system that allows him the overtake boost to the engine adds extra horsepower and gives you a fighting chance at getting by. I think Simpendal will look for a move into turn 27 here, very, very close to the behind of Fence in the Alfa Romeo, and closing and closing and closing, but I don't think he'll be quite close enough, so we'll look for a move through turn 1. There's fighting up and down the pack behind, but we're going to keep an eye out on this battle. There's a little bit of a tardy exit for Fence. That gives the opportunity to Simpendal, who now quietly and happily takes that place off him. That makes it a lot easier for Simpendal than he expected, and now we'll hope, with 4 laps of racing to go, that those softs of Rain start to perish and the mediums come into their prime. Let's see if that can play out over the next few laps. It's already a 7/10 gap to Fence, and Fence has the absolutely speedy OS Degrees behind. OS Degrees will look to extract everything on the softs here and attack Fence into turn 13. Let's see if he has a better drive out of 12. He used a bit of ERS, previously a bit of DRS would have come lovely and in handy here, but it doesn't come in handy, so he doesn't manage to close that down, and it is Alpha Integral who is just behind. Those cars that's pitted have started to make their way through, but quite a few cars caught behind Matusas here. Actually, some good defensive work from the cars who didn't pit back 2 safety cars ago. Captain Cooltwine just makes a bit of contact with the inside. Matusas doing some good defending here, and Strug says that he's just sad because he bottled quali, bottled strat, and yet still had solid pace to get a decent result. Yeah, very disappointing. I still felt like you could have got the podium at the end there if things went a little bit towards your way, and Rain and Simp are absolutely pushing right at the top. Fence is still managing to keep OS Degrees behind. This is sensational work from the Alfa Romeo driver, and the longer he keeps him behind, the harder it becomes for OS Degrees to build that 3-second gap and shake off the penalty. Rain sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Last time around, it was a second faster than Simpendal, so he's got extended the gap by a second. Simpendal may recognise that the fight is over for the race here. As long as Rain can keep it clean and on track, I think Rain has done enough to extend this gap. As Strug says, Rain is on a level. 27-1 in quali is just ridiculous, and it absolutely is. He had the pole position, and he's had an unusual strategy to fight back into first place after losing first position at the start. And OS Degrees is, I thought that was him getting the penalty there because he did go a little bit offline, but has lost a bit of time to Fence through those opening sector, and maybe those softs just starting to get past their worst, and that will be good stuff from Simpendal, who will recognise that Rain is absolutely pushing to extend the gap. Now, the sector times look to be quite similar from the 2 drivers, and actually I think Simpendal may just be able to close that in a little bit towards the end of the race, but barring any big wobbles from Rain right at the end of this Grand Prix, I think it will be a debut pole and a debut win for the Alfa Romeo driver. It could be 1 and 3 on the podium as things stand. Would be a sensational turnout for the Alfa Romeo team. I would rocket them up into the constructors' lead after the end of round 1. And OS Degrees does go for a move up the inside of Fence, and now Fence will fight back as much as he can, and he has DRS, so is able to it's not a Grand Chelem. About who? No, it can't be a Grand Chelem, because Grand Chelem is you've led every lap as well. But if he didn't lose his lead on the first lap and kept to his optimum strategy, I reckon he could have done. But of course, Simpendal led for quite a while, and actually Chonk has retired in the pit, so he's given up the ghost of this race, maybe picking a bit of damage up at the end and deciding to pit, and we have 2 laps of racing left. Simpendal has closed down the gap by 5 tenths, and maybe just a couple more laps of racing conditions, and Simpendal could have potentially gone and challenged for the lead of this race. It's actually 4 tenths he's took out of just on the exit of 13. Simpendal will push and give it everything he's got to go and chase after the lead of this race, and Rain is just luring him in a little bit. It's 1.8 second the gap. Let's see if he can get into DRS next time around. Rain F1 has quite a lot of ERS back in, and Sniper Boys, who is Fade, who's on an old account, is hey, how are you doing? Fence closing down is OS Degrees. I don't think OS Degrees is going to get by. I feel like OS Degrees, even if he does get by, he's not going to open up a 3-second gap on the final lap. Last time around, it was the Alpine of Simpendal who was faster, taking 2 tenths off their best time. It was a 1:30.7 for Simpendal and a 1:31.486 for Rain. But Rain just extending himself on a little bit on the straight, and I think Simpendal is just too far back to mount a challenge. OS Degrees will be all about pride at this point and will try to get by Fence. They'll go too wide into turn 4. OS Degrees probably needs to just think a bit more about self-preservation here. So does Fence as well, and Fence has battled valiantly to keep the cars behind. I'm sure OS Degrees and Fence will want to talk about their battle after the race. We will have post-race interviews with all of the main players in the race up and down the field. Certainly want to talk to the top 3. And it's been a great race from Simpendal. Actually, the gap's only 1.1 second. I feel like, just another lap, and Simpendal would have been able to push, but actually Rain has kept a fair amount of ERS in reserve, and Simpendal has pushed to use that ERS to try and desperately get within the DRS toe. And I think another lap, he'd be so close. It's going to be absolutely painful for Simpendal, and they'll think if he had one more lap, he had a chance, but if Manan had wheels, Rain wouldn't have won this Grand Prix, but he will do. He'll take his maiden win on his debut in the SRL-100 Division 1, and he takes the first ever win of the multi-division SRL, and it's a fantastic result for Rain. Simpendal coming back a very strong second place. OS Degrees has got past Fence, but Fence gets by, and it doesn't matter much because it'll be 3rd for Fence, 4th for OS Degrees. Alpha Integral finished in 5th, 6th for AGS Inden. Blower Bump gets up to 8th at the end thanks to having no penalties, up to 6th at the end because of no penalties. He's been running in the doldrums all day. It's a fantastic result for Blubberbump, and that's keeping your race alive by not getting penalties. AGS Inden down to 7th, down to 8th, Denonpool in 7th. It was Captain Coolwine in 9th, and Matusas in 10th position. 10th for 11th for Temp, 12th was Giri on Tour, 13th was Gaz MC, 14th was Chonk, who will be classified but DNF'd. Also Gaz MC DNFing in those final moments of the race. Strugs in 15th, who DNF'd with 6 laps to go, and the Red Bull of Keji DNFing around half race distance. And it was great stuff from Fence, great podium from Fence. Of course, the day goes to Rain, and the battle between Simpendal and Rain was sensational. This could set the tone for Season 3 of the SRL-100. We have 8 more rounds to go, of course, after this at Spain next weekend. I'm waiting for a bit of an announcement of what happened in the SRL-100 Division 2. Let me know if you can. And Rain can't join the post-race interview, so that is a shame that we don't have a race post-race interview. But congratulations to him, and it is good stuff from Rain. Absolutely punishing pace. Only one to dip into the 129, and it will be difficult. Simpendal would have got so close, and it's the last lap of the SRL-100 Division 2, and I need to quickly go through, and I almost just readied up. I can't do that because I'm spectating, but I need to just go through and grab these results, just in case they're not recorded by the telemetry for whatever reason. Hopefully they will, and we'll have a quick look at the instance. And the amount of runners who actually finished that was above what I'd expected. Certainly above what I expected, because it's such a demanding circuit, and yeah, absolute credit to the league for getting through that one mostly intact. It was just those final races when it became all a little bit too do or die, and Blower Bump into 6th position, possibly my last 10 lap driver of the day. really it's Raynor Simpendel who will be picking up that one. And let's move over to the league interviews. And I've no idea where the background music just picked up there. Let's restart that. Let's have it from the start. And have that in the background, and of course we'll start the stage for the post-race interviews. So let me just start the stage and write up a topic, and SRL-100 D1 and D2 post-race interviews. So on stage at the moment in the SRL-100 area, and we have people joining already, and yeah, let's pull in Blubberbump. He's one of the first to join. Oh, wait, he's gone already. Why has he gone? Why do people leave and join and go? What's that about? I don't understand. So let's see who's going to join. Who is part of the ring? Everyone can join, but you're not on mic if you join. By the way, just so you know, you're just in a waiting area to be pulled in, and I can pull you in and have a talk with you. Let's pull in Blubberbump. Who last time was on stream, I had him muted. So let's pull him in and invite to speak to Blubberbump. And I'll just make sure that he isn't muted, because last time I did that. And who picked up the... So somehow Joker took second. Joker took second! Oh, what a lad. And who was pole? Kenneth takes the win. Okay, so we'll definitely pull Kenneth in and maybe Joker in. And... is Blubberbump. Are you in here? Okay, you're in here. How are you doing, Blubberbump?
Yes.
You got up to 6th position there. You had a big battle with Chonk, keeping it clean with Chonk for like 12th position. But right at the end, no penalties, up to 6th position. How do you feel that race went for you?
Well, that was my strategy then. The entire race was sort of don't spin, don't get wing damage, and don't get penalties. I managed to pull it off. So.
And you had a big battle with Chonk. Was it quite difficult? Because I saw you go too wide through Sector 1 quite a number of times. That must have been quite hard to avoid penalties with that kind of side-by-side action.
Yeah, it was definitely terrifying. I felt like I spent the whole race defending from other people much quicker than me.
Right, yeah, well, good stuff. I'm going to pull Kenneth in, who is, I believe, the winner of the SRL-100 Division 2. And I'm going to have to get a bit of a race report from Kenneth. And I'll invite you to speak. If you want to join, you don't have to join. And hello, Kenneth. How you doing?
Doing good.
So, did you win the race? I got a mole saying that you won the race in the Division 2.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, how did the race go? Because I've had no view of it. I had Desago keeping me in check throughout the kind of proceedings. Oh, why is Discord? Speak for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, it is a... I thought I had it muted again for Blubberbump, but that would be bad. So, yeah, how did the win go?
It was tough. The race was crazy. A lot of safety cars. Somehow managed to keep it clean with no penalties and get the win.
Yeah, well, good stuff. Of course, didn't have a view of that one, but I'm sure we'll be watching back the race footage of the different drivers, and just trying to see if there's anyone from the SRL-100 who is part of the audience. I don't think anyone has particularly joined. I think most of them have gone into the general chat, but yeah, we'll probably wrap it off there because we don't have many people from the SRL-100, which I have, of course, have a view of, but that is... Unless I'm just not seeing people. Let's pull Matusas in and get his view of the race. So... Matusas, how did you find the race? Of course, joined stage. How did you find the race, Matusas?
It was fun. You know, like the first lap was kind of a bit of chaos, but after that, I think everyone was just trying to keep the car on track, keep their wings intact. There were some pretty good overtakes. I saw some pretty nice moves. But yeah, basically, since it's such a technical and hard track, I feel like everyone was just trying to keep the car intact, and it was like a good race, a good technical race. It wasn't bad. The ending was with the last safety car bunching all the cars up, and with some cars having damage. The ending was quite intense. But overall, it was a good race. Considering the track that it is, I thought there would be more crashes or more safety cars, but the guys kept the race as clean as it could. And I think it was positive in the general idea.
Absolutely, yeah. No, just quickly, what was your view out of the first lap crash? Because it just seemed like an almighty shunt out of turn 3 to me.
Yeah. The first lap chaos was basically like the first chicane. There was someone that missed their braking point, so I just noticed someone diving up my inside, and then as we were going, leaving the chicane, me and Chonk and I think Cool Wine were 3 wide, because I was not expecting Chonk on my left. I had Cool Wine on my right, and I was trying to keep the cars like intact through that straight until turn 3. But then Chonk came on my left, and it became so hard to like manage the space because I was sandwiched. And as soon as we made contact, like we created like a big crash. That's why it was such chaos. Because it's just three wide through there just made it like a problem.
3 don't go into 2. Well, thank you very much for that recap of that one. Let's pull Emmybot in. Emmybot's asking to speak. What do you want to say, Emmybot? Come on. You wanted to speak. Don't get stage fright, Emmy. How was your race? Where did you finish in the SRL-100 Division 2?
Well, on track.
Yep.
I believe. What is going on? On track, it was second place. Right?
Okay. Penalties.
But 12 seconds of penalties.
Oh, right, okay. So quite far down the order then.
P9.
Right, okay. That is disappointing. How did the race go in the Division 2?
Well, I got pole, as you probably know. And I led probably 35 out of 50 laps.
Right, okay.
But lap 30, screwed myself. I pit for softs, thinking there was 10 laps left because I misread the lap counter. But there were 20 laps left, so I had to pit again and fight my way back through the field again.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That's disappointing that you finished so far down, but thanks for giving us an update. And I think that'll end the coverage. People can stay in the chat if they want to have a big old chin wag together at the end of the race, but I will end the coverage there of the SRL-100 round 1. And thank you very much for all the people who has come on to speak at the end of the race. And yeah, it certainly was an exciting end to the race. And where is Simpendal? Is Simpendal in? I can't see Simpendal in the chat. Where is Simpendal? I can't see him. Simpendal needs to come on, and then I can invite him in. Unless he doesn't join. Oh, he's there. He's there. Right, okay. Simpendal, I almost missed you. Apologies. Come on. Hello, Simpendal.
No
How
problem.
are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. It was a great race.
Yes, second position in the race. Did you feel like you were very, very close to Rain at the end? Another few laps, you could have maybe gone for the race win. Do you feel like that was within your expectations?
To be honest, no. His pace was phenomenal. I couldn't keep up with him, no. But I was hoping he was making a mistake or something else. But yeah, I didn't have the luck. So yeah, great race overall. But no, I couldn't keep up with Rain. No.
And you had a really, really good start that actually gave you the position over Rain. Were you expecting to have that kind of start against Rain?
Well, I know my starts are my. Yeah, I'm good at starting, so I know that's my quality. So yeah, I had the confidence I could overtake him. But yeah, later in the race he got me back and I pitted. And then I had some bad luck with the safety car.
Yeah, absolutely, because you pitted for those hards and then the safety car came out 7 laps later, which allowed all of that work you'd done to close the gap didn't pay off in the end.
Exactly, yeah, I was pitted for hard indeed, and I was taking some time back from Rain. It was about 40 seconds and he still had to pit, so he would rejoin behind me, and yeah, then the safety car came out, so yeah, there was some bad luck. Yeah,
well, good work anyway. Second place on your SRL-100 MPU behind an incredibly fast Rain. I think you have set a standard of pace in the SRL-100. I think you'll be able to fight from there. And I'll move you back to the audience, and I think that will conclude the broadcast unless there's anyone else who finished in the top 3 now. I don't think Fence and Fade are here, so I will conclude the broadcast there, but I'll open this up lobby for further discussion at the end, so stay in the stage for just a moment while I close this off. And yeah, thank you very much for watching the stream. We are, of course, at Spain this time next week again. I've been Gareth Allen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please follow if you aren't already. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night.